Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who could change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude.
I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Week 2 of the NFL is over. Jermaine Johnson out for the season with a torn Achilles. The Dolphins place Tua on IR with another concussion. And the Panthers bench Bryce Young. Oh no. Another show of the Sports Loudmouth. Doc Rivers is going to have Damian Lillard run very fast out of town. Does he help them win? You're under 500. Aaron Judge helps the Yankees win. You're paying the player $300 million. You better be sure that guy's going to help you get over the hump. For some reason, this guy is completely lost on calling plays. Maybe he's a therapist. Did you see Lamar Jackson cry to the ref? No, he didn't. Bye-bye to the Sunshine State. I am no longer in Florida, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back here in Long Island. This is a new show of the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, General Marks, my co-host, Speedy. Petey, our executive producer, Mr. Aaron Fishman. No scoops tonight. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every single Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out all our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Speedy, it was very, very hot in the Sunshine State. I'm flabbergasted because I just landed and I'm sitting in the studio right now. It was an amazing trip. But was it? A lot to talk about.
Well, yeah, I know Florida's definitely not your hot pursuit. Pun intended, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't my hot pursuit.
No.
And it definitely wasn't playing trivia pursuit either. That's for sure.
No, then I wouldn't imagine.
Well, maybe I
be.
would. I mean, that would have been better than some parts of Florida.
Well, yeah. Maybe you could have did next state over in Alabama and do trivia with Mark Everett Kelly.
What's up, Tommy? I know Tom Downey right over here is listening to our show. A shout out to him, one of our big fans, and keep listening to us. It's crazy because I have been to Florida many, many times. It's not like it was my first time, and it probably won't be my last. But I'm going to tell you this right now. It is effing hot over there. It was like 96 degrees. The humidity was terrible. I had to sleep without the covers. And by the way, Brittany was stealing the covers anyways. But I just will say this. For anybody that goes out to Florida and knows anything about Floridians, they do not know how to drive. Everybody says this about New Yorkers, but boy, oh boy, they don't use their blinkers. They slow down when they're ready to turn. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrendous. I cannot stand when you're driving on the road and you're trying to get one place to another. And these people, they stop in the middle of the road. They're deciding where they're going. I thought New Yorkers couldn't drive. I've been all over the world. I would have to say Floridians are the worst drivers I've ever been around. Yeah, they're terrible.
My uncle who lives in Florida, he could definitely say that for he loves driving up here in comparison to that.
Oh, I can't stand Floridians. I can't stand them. But hey, you know what? It is a state of craziness, and I did enjoy it. There was nothing wrong with Florida. I've been to Fort Lauderdale. We were there in Fort Lauderdale. We moved around. We got a chance to see all different places. But nothing is like New York. I'm just speaking the truth, even though it's just so expensive and the inflation of all the different bills that you have to pay over here when it comes to food and gas, nothing is like New York. I'm just speaking the truth. And even sports media, and when I was over there, I got a chance to see quite enough of baseball, a little bit of, obviously football. I was there watching the Jets and the Giants game, which just an absolute debacle for both teams. Everybody loves what the Jets did. I have a lot to say about the New York Jets, okay, because that was it just shows you Bambi Sala doesn't know what he's doing. But that's a whole nother story. But hey, you know what? I'm back here in New York. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to entertain you guys for the next 3 hours. And boy, just so for everybody knows, I was not canceling the shows. I'm going to make sure that today and tomorrow we will get out the content. I never miss on content, so I'm happy to be here. But I have a lot of other stories to talk about, but I'm going to wait until tomorrow because I'm jet lagged, okay? I'm here for 3 hours jet lagged to entertain you crazy fans.
Are you more jet lagged now, or are you more jet lagged watching Robert Saleh coach?
Well, that's a whole nother story. I don't even know. I think I crashed and burned by the end of that damn game. It was horrible coaching. And Nathaniel Hackett probably has his head between his own legs, probably looking at his dingleberries because he has absolutely no idea what he is doing as an offensive coordinator. That's a whole nother story. And by the way, the defense just absolutely it was better than week one, but it wasn't any good. So for all the Jet fans to say this is the best defense they've had in such a long time, well, they better wake up because it hasn't been that good. That's the fact that they're 1-1. They're lucky. And by the way, they're going into Thursday night football, and this Patriot team is not going to take it easy on them. So it's not going to be an easy game, as we've seen the Patriots, even though they're 1-1. They've played very well in week 1 and week 2. So this isn't going to be an easy ride to MetLife Stadium, or it won't be an easy ride outside of MetLife Stadium. As we know, the fans over there are crazy. And, as the New England Patriots have always known, the Jets just don't show up to games. Just a whole nother story. At 9:30, we'll be talking to former Jaguars, Broncos, and Cowboys defensive lineman, our friend Jeremy Mincey. He's been doing a lot of things. He's producing. He's doing some raps. He's all over the place. Production, family, everything. So happy to get Jeremy on the show. I would love to hear his thoughts right now with the Broncos and the Cowboys, who did not look good this past week. Just my opinion there. But anyways, Jermaine Johnson announced on social media on Monday that he will miss the rest of the season with a torn Achilles. Johnson had 7.5 sacks and 25 pressures last season, both second on the Jets, only to Bryce Huff. ESPN's Dan Graziano reports that the Jets and Reddick could be agreeing to a deal soon before their Week 4 game against the Broncos. He added that Reddick's representatives would like to have a decision be made by September 29th. Otherwise, he might hold out for the rest of the season. Reddick's representatives also said he wants no less than $25 million per year at this point. Reports say that the Eagles could be interested in trading for Reddick again if the Jets can't reach a deal. Eagles edge rusher Josh Sweat called the Eagles pass rush unacceptable after collapsing versus the Falcons on Monday Night Football. All right, so why don't we just get into the Jets and the whole Jermaine Johnson situation? It's unfortunate that Jermaine Johnson torn his Achilles. And any Jet fan that was watching the game was probably sad for Jermaine Johnson, because after what he did last year, being in his first Pro Bowl, and the weight that he put on this year, and just how good he looked throughout the preseason and OTAs, you would have thought that Jermaine Johnson was going to have a breakout year. He was going to have 11 sacks. He was going to be one of the best linebackers or defensive ends the Jets have had in a very long time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will never know, because Jermaine Johnson, after quarter one, tears his Achilles and is out for the season. It's a horrible look. Anybody that watched it, it was disgusting. I thought it was a lot worse than an Achilles. I thought he tore his ACL and his Achilles. That's how bad it looked. It's unfortunate. And if you're a Jet fan, you have to look at a guy like Haason Reddick to fill in that position. And the Jets are going to have to open up their pockets now, because they can't sit and wait. Now, Will McDonald looked sensational. He looked fantastic. If there was anything that really stood out in that game, it was Will McDonald. He had 3 sacks, could have had 4. He was unbelievable. He really was. He stood up, and he stood for what the Jets were looking for in Jermaine Johnson in this pass rush for the last 2 weeks. Now, will he be able to do it week in and week out? Only time will tell. Now, he needed to put on some weight in the offseason. He really didn't. He put only 5 pounds on. They wanted him to put about 15 to 16 pounds on. So a lot of people thought that the Jets and Robert Saleh weren't going to use him more than a third down type of linebacker, or even a defensive end, wherever they were going to stick him. But after week 2, he proved that he could be a big part of this defense moving forward. What worries me right now is you're depending on a young kid. Last year barely played. Now, he had 3.5 sacks last year. He was great. He really was. For a guy that was a rookie that everybody was taking shots at because the Jets drafted at number 15 in the first round, he looked a lot better than I expected him in season 1. He already has almost the same amount of sacks as he did in season 1 in 1 game. And the Tennessee Titans offensive line isn't the best offensive line, but it's not a bad offensive line. It's the middle of the pack offensive line, probably 15, 16 right now in the NFL. So what Will McDonald did wasn't against one of the worst offensive lines in football. It really wasn't. It was a decent offensive line that really didn't think that Will McDonald was going to shoot the way he did. Now, everything that you've heard about Will McDonald, his bend is unbelievable. He knows how to get around. He's got a tremendous amount of speed when you give him some lanes. He's got a tremendous amount of ability. The problem is his weight and his size as a defensive end. Now, does that mean that he can't be a predominantly good offensive lineman? Absolutely could. But the Jets cannot depend on Will McDonald to be their only pass rusher for the rest of the season. When I saw on Sunday at 1 o'clock as a Jet fan, made me sick. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why it made me sick. Everybody wants to talk about how great Aaron Rodgers is. Everybody. They want to say, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's great. He's fantastic. Let's look at what Aaron Rodgers has done in week 1 and week 2. Does anybody know that Aaron Rodgers in 2 back-to-back games has never, in 10 years, thrown under 200 yards? Does anybody know that? Just so all you Jet fans that love what you saw with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been a shell of himself. Now, he's coming back from injury. He needs time. We all know this. But for all the Jet fans that thought, oh, this is going to be a great season, we're going to see Aaron Rodgers back to what he was doing with the Green Bay Packers, and he's going to be a superstar guy. He's going to be a top 5 quarterback, as I thought he was going to be. Yes, I'm saying it. I thought he was going to be. But in week 1 and week 2, he has not been that. And for you Jet fans, yes, you New York Jet fans that think that Aaron Rodgers is the answer for the next 2 years, maybe he's not. Maybe he is not. Now, you're going against a team like the Patriots. And I'm going to get into Robert Saleh and my thoughts to Robert Saleh. Don't you worry. I've got my own thoughts to good old Robert Saleh, who's probably, in my eyes, the worst coach right now in the AFC. Yes, you heard it from me. He is horrendous as a head coach. But we're not going to get into Robert Saleh. We're going to get into Thursday Night Football, where the Jets have a chance to go 2-1 and have a chance to compete with the Buffalo Bills, because we know Miami without Tua is not going to take the next step. Tom Brady is not coming out of retirement. For all you Miami fans or whoever you want to predict is going to fill in for Tua for the next couple of weeks. Could be 6 to 7 weeks, people are saying.
Maybe they'll bring back Jets legend Mike White.
I don't know what they're going to do. And I have Tua on one of my fantasy teams. I have no idea as a Jet fan or even as a fantasy owner what I'm going to do moving forward with Tua. But the Jets have a chance to go against a Patriot team that has a lot of good things to talk about and a lot of bad things to talk about. We do know they have a rookie coach who's done better in the first 2 games of his career, better than Robert Saleh has done for 3 years. Okay? That's the fact. Just look at it. All right? We do know that they don't have a number 1 wide receiver, so this is good for the Jets secondary. That has played pretty well. They have been. They've played well. But that doesn't say or sell anything to me at MetLife Stadium at their first home game of the season, when Aaron Rodgers is going to be running out with an American flag, dancing and prancing around at MetLife Stadium. I am not happy on what I have seen offensively for the New York Jets. I'm sorry, I'm not. And I'm going to tell you this. I want to see more Braylon Allen. I want to see more of him. Because every time he touched the ball, he caused havoc. He did score a touchdown in his first NFL game, too, in week number 2.
Where was that last week?
Why isn't he running the ball or being used more in different formations? Now, I understand Breece Hall is their star. And I know Breece Hall has looked pretty good. But Breece Hall's out. He's definitely got to play better. He's definitely got to play better. If they're going to run the ball, if he's going to touch the ball, what is it, like 25 to 30 times a game? If he's touching the ball that much, he's got to do more. He has to do more. He has to be Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey is to the San Francisco 49ers. If he's not doing that for the New York Jets, it's not going to open up the field for Garrett Wilson, who's the first year with Aaron Rodgers, and Mike Williams, who's a rented player. That's what he is, a rented player. And where are the tight ends in the last 2 games? Where's Conklin? Where's Jeremy Rucker? Where the hell are these guys? That has to do with coaching. Now, to Bambi Saleh, the great Robert Saleh. For all you Jet fans that want to sit here and think that Robert Saleh is going to make a difference, the play calling, this is the truth. The play calling in the first 2 quarters was horrible. Absolutely horrible. 7 points in the first 2 quarters. They couldn't do anything in the first quarter. And if you look at Robert Saleh's career as a Jets head coach, the Jets are the worst first quarter team in NFL history. NFL history. The Jets do not score in the first quarter. They have problems doing that every single season since Robert, a.k.a. Bambi Saleh, took over. It's embarrassing that this team can't figure it out. You have Aaron effing Rodgers out there, the superstar quarterback that we believe he is. And I don't know what he was doing in the first quarter. I don't know what this offense is doing in the first quarter. And could the Jets actually hold on to the ball? Why are we going 3 downs in like 5 seconds? They're running the ball. First down, second down. Then they're throwing the ball on 3rd downs, which every single team knows they're going that way. Every team knows on 3rd down they're throwing the ball after they keep running the ball on 1st and 2nd down. It's not rocket science, Mr. Bambi. It is not rocket science. And everybody keeps saying Robert Saleh is a great defensive coordinator. He's the best. Tennessee has Will Levis. Will effing Levis. Tennessee had a chance to win this game at the end of the game because of terrible defense, letting them throw the ball down the field. Will Levis. Embarrassing. I don't care if they won. It doesn't matter that they won. I want to see growth. And Jet fan says, well, there is growth. They won. Growth? You think that's going to sell to a fan that's been watching a team for the last 30-some-odd years wanting to throw up every single year? From quarterback to quarterback, running back to running back, defense to defense, offensive line to offensive line. It's embarrassing. I don't want to hear how great this team has played in week number 2. Because they weren't. They weren't good. Now, heading to MetLife. This is a chance for the Jets to shut down the New England Patriots. Shut the New England Patriot fans up. Going up 1-0 against New England in a new season. This is the first time they're playing a division game. This is very important for the New York Jets to come out a winner. Very important. Miami and Buffalo just played. Buffalo wins. New England is going to have an opportunity to go up 1-0 in the Division 2. Divisional games are the most important games if you expect to win the division, if you expect to make the playoffs. This is your first home game. Show up on Thursday Night Football. Show up on a game where everybody in the world is going to watch the New York Jets and not want to throw up. And I want to throw up every single day of my life when I watch this damn team. On Sunday, I was on and off with this team. On and off. After the first quarter, I took a dump. It was probably 25 minutes. I didn't even watch the second quarter. I didn't have to because I know what was going to happen.
I guess it's an improvement from last year. We wanted to throw
And
something
everybody
at
makes a
TV.
joke. I'm serious. When I go to the bathroom, I'm enjoying myself. If I have to go, I'm going. But this team that shows up in one half and doesn't show up in 4 quarters, that's got to stop. That has to stop. I have not watched this team play 4 great quarters in almost a year and a half. A year and a half. And as a Jet fan, and Keith, I'm reading all the stuff that you're saying. I'm watching everything. I'll get into the Giants. I will get into the whole Saquon Barkley situation with Philadelphia, which everybody wants to blame Saquon on the loss, which I think is ridiculous, but that's a whole nother story. He did choke. He did drop the ball. He didn't keep his eyes on the ball, but nevertheless, that wasn't all his fault. How about the Eagles defense showing up in the game? How about that in the fourth quarter? Atlanta, yes, the Atlanta Falcons actually showed up in the fourth quarter. And yeah, Kirk Cousins, who, by the way,
I was gonna say.
by the way, Keith was telling me how bad he was, and let's make a bet. We're going to see Michael Penix a lot sooner than later. That's not going to happen. Just so you know.
It's also the Monday Night Football.
Unless somebody goes down.
Kirk Cousins hasn't won a game on Monday Night Football.
Raheem Morris
How's that
is
work?
not going to allow that to happen. That's just me. But to finish up on my thoughts, and I'm sure Speedy has his own thoughts, and we'll bring Fish in because I would love to hear what Fish has, his thoughts with the New York Jets. The one thing I could say for you Jet fans, and this is good information, and you can take this to the bank, and hopefully it'll make you guys rich one day. Don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day jobs for all you Jet fans out there. Because if you think that winning this game against the Tennessee Titans and Will Levis is a breakout game and it's going to take the Jets to the top, boy, oh boy, I don't think you guys have seen what Josh Allen has done in the last back-to-back weeks. Because if you haven't, please go watch it. Because that's what a quarterback's supposed to do. That's what a quarterback gets attacked to. And how many people have attacked him in the offseason and show up week in and week out and just shut everybody up? He doesn't even have to say anything. No, you have Aaron Rodgers going to banquets and events saying, we're going to be great. Don't jump off the bandwagon. Don't jump off the bandwagon.
Yeah, and that's the difference of good coaching versus bad coaching.
Please.
With the Jets and the Bills. What was the talk all offseason with the Bills? Oh, they're going to fall off on defense. They lost a lot of secondary pieces. Obviously, we were talking about Milano a couple weeks ago getting hurt. And the Bills defense, besides one bad quarter against the Cardinals, have looked great all season long. Meanwhile, the Jets have continued to have issues with certain concepts of the game. And this game, even too, they were getting beat with some big plays in the air, too, which their secondary is supposed to be the best in the football, like we were saying. And DeAndre Hopkins beat him with a big play that you just showed, Fish. You saw Calvin Ridley with that touchdown in the first quarter that beat him. Like, even in their strengths, they were getting beat in that game. And Tennessee was not afraid to be aggressive and try to mix things up. It wasn't for their bad mistakes on their part in the second half, like you're showing, Fish, the blocked punt, a couple of bad decisions by Levis. They lose that game. Brian Callahan continues to do better these first two games against the Bears and the Jets, against teams that they're much better than. The Titans are in these games, and the Jets could not adjust for the most part.
Everything that I saw, and yes, special teams actually showed up, and they usually do. I would say the Jets' best part of their season so far is their special teams. They actually showed up in week 1, and they've showed up in week 2. And if they used a little bit more of Braylon Allen, hey, I would believe that the Jets have something special over there as a running back. I understand Breece Hall is their guy. This guy is going to be phenomenal. And if you want to know who's Breece Hall's replacement in the next 2 seasons, you're looking at him. Go ahead, Fish. Let's hear it.
You're going to have an interesting type of Jets offense going forwards. They don't want to use the tight end. You know, Rodgers has used tight end in the past, but they're not going to use it because they have Garrett Wilson and they have Breece Hall, who's basically a receiver out of the backfield. He's basically Alvin Kamara when he was younger. And that's what you're looking at. He's that good. And now Braylon Allen looks like he might be a top 10 running back himself. I haven't seen a guy run at his size as fast and hard downhill. Brandon Jacobs comes to mind when he was first going early on. I think he runs better than Brandon Jacobs, clearly. He's a little low. I don't think he's as tall as Brandon Jacobs, but I'll say this. If you have those two backs in the backfield, and you go with the 3 wide receiver set, maybe it's Lazard, maybe it's some of the other guys and Williams on the other side, and you just have Wilson dominate because he's dominating out there. You got talent everywhere on that offense. Tyron Smith looks amazing. He had one of the top games for a tackle in the league last week, and that's great news. If he could stay healthy, that is quite the shot in the arm. So you guys have the weapons everywhere. So why should have they lost that game if you have all these weapons? They had a block punt. Levis makes this horrible mistake in the red zone in the first quarter, just fumbles the ball away, trying to do too much, had a couple of bad picks. They should have lost this. Without the block punt, they lose this game. This is a game that the Jets probably would have lost. And why does that happen? Well, you don't have a run defense. That's a big problem. And now you just lost one of your better run defender ends. So Haason Reddick's more of a pass rusher. I don't know where they're getting that interior run defense. I mean, there's another team like the New York Giants we'll talk about in a second whose run defense is worse than that. But it's a big problem. How are they getting dominated in time of possession? How are they losing turnover battles when teams are turning it over on not winning big when there's turnover battle wins like they're getting? They should be winning by a good 21 points if they're turning it over like this. I don't know what's going on. It probably is play calling. You're absolutely right, Errol. I don't know what's going on over there.
Oh, it's definitely play calling. There's no question it's play calling. And Robert Saleh looks like a deer in the headlights. I mean, seriously, why do we call him Bambi? Well, that's the reason why. I mean, the guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's lost. He's lost. And every time there's something wrong, he spreads his legs out and he has his head between his legs. I don't want to see my coach do that. It shows me that he's not confident about what this team is doing on the field. It shows me that you don't know what you're doing. And it tells me that the Jets as an organization has gone too many times all in with these stupid coaches. And at the end of it, they're making excuses why they should have gotten rid of him the year before.
You wonder too, like the creative concepts. It took forever to get into the game as well. Like you're talking about Braylon Allen fish. Like maybe they should try using more 2 running back sets if they're not going to do any tight end sets. You wonder if they could do that with 3 wide receivers or just 1 tight end with the 2 running back sets if Braylon Allen continues to play that well. And that was the first time you really saw the creativity, just something different than what you're expecting out of the Jets to be able to do that. Because Tennessee's got a good defense. Tennessee did not allow offensive touchdown last week. They traded for Snead in the offseason. They have a good secondary. Garrett Wilson was going to contain much of the first half until he finally broke out in the second half. Why? Because they don't know how to use these other targets and they don't know how to coach.
How about using more of Allen? How about that? I don't care if Breece Hall is, bothered by it on the sidelines. If Allen is playing better, you give him the ball. I don't want to hear it. It's all about winning, right, Breece? You want to win. You want to win a Super Bowl. That's why you brought Aaron Rodgers there. That's why you wanted this team to be better. That's why the Jets made a move for Haason Reddick and still doesn't have him signed. You want to win a Super Bowl. If Braylon Allen gives you the best chance to win against certain teams, then you play him. I don't want to hear it from Jet fans. Well, we got Breece Hall. We got him. He's great. He's this. He's that. Great for him. I want to win. I want to see this team make the playoffs after what? 14 years, 13 years of garbage. I want to see this team compete against the best teams in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Yes, the Buffalo Bills. For all you Jet fans that thought this was going to be an easy division to win, I am sick. You see me? You see this energy? I watched enough. I was sitting at my girlfriend's father's house, spitting up curses, okay, that his wife didn't want to hear. I was saying words she probably never heard in Brazil. Okay, that's how bad it was. It was horrible.
On a scale of 1 to
I was spitting all over. I was going crazy. You know what? You know what set me good? It was her rice that she made from Brazil. That was good. The rice and beans. And by the way, it sent me to the bathroom as well. So that helped me too. Getting away from that game for a little bit. So there you go.
On a scale of 1 to last year when you wanted to throw something at a TV on a cruise ship, where did this one rank?
Oh. Well, as far as the curses are concerned and the enthusiasm of the game, I think you'd probably rather me throw something because she was like, well, hello, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. Whoa. I was like, Ron was yelling at me. I was like, listen, this is how I get when I watch this crappy Gang Green. They say, who the hell? Who names their team Gang Green? I wonder. Yes, the New York Jets, the worst team name in NFL history. Gang Green. It gives me Gang Green every time I watch them. Oh.
Well, I got a number for you, Errol, and it's a number that everyone likes. Is Blackjack 21, because that's what you're saying, Speedy, and that's what you're saying also, Errol, is 21 personnel. All right, you usually don't hear that in the NFL anymore. You see 12 with the 2 tight ends, but if you're going to have a 2-back type of a situation, and you're going, or really it's just 10 personnel. You're going to have only receivers and running backs. Took those two guys on the field all the time. Have it split back like a Spurrier offense from back in the day, where you got two backs in the backfield running routes. You have them getting the ball. You got all these counter plays. You have the great receiver outside, and you have two other guys, and you can bring a tight end in if you want for the slot guy every once in a while. That just makes too much sense to me. But then again, you got Nathaniel Hackett back there as co-try offensive
I got to think of
coordinator
a name
genius.
for him. I really have to discover a name for him. I like Bambi for him. Maybe we'll figure something out for Mr. Nathaniel Hackett.
Hall's good enough.
It. That's all I'm going to say.
Definitely not.
No,
Look,
definitely can't.
Hall's good enough that you can motion him out into trips so you can have all your regular offense and have one back with Allen back there, and Hall becomes kind of like that, Devin Hester, in the slot gadget guy from back in the day. Like that's what he could be like that out there. Maybe Marshall Faulk, like he went when the Rams would split him out in situations. They can do a lot with that if they're willing to do it. It's a lot of ego thing. You don't see two back offenses ever. I couldn't tell you the last time. The eye is extinct. The split back receiver.
2017. That was probably.
And who was the coach back then? It's Payton, who's an old school type of offense. So it's not surprising that they wouldn't go to this right away. But if you see that you have two, possibly one top five, one looks like he's the best rookie running back going right now, you got to put them both on the field. Look, if Braylon Allen doesn't know how to pass block, not that well, you get them off in third downs and you go one back then. But please, you got to get these guys on the field. It's incredible how good they are, and you got a lot of talent. They got to be better than this.
Yeah, not using tight ends. Keith naturally says in the comment section they should have drafted Brock Bowers.
Well, first
he looks pretty good.
I still want to see what Conklin can do. He hasn't really touched the ball. I want to see what Jeremy Rucker could do. He hasn't touched the ball. I mean, Aaron's going to have to get these tight ends more involved. If you're going to use them in packages, use them right. And I think Tyler Conklin is actually a pretty good tight end. So to think that he hasn't touched the ball, I think he touched the ball once in the whole season in 2 games. That says a lot about what this offense is doing. And Nathaniel Hackett needs to wake up, because to me, this organization is depending on making the playoffs this year. And if they don't, Nathaniel Hackett, Bambi, and Mr. Joe Douglas will be looking for new jobs. And by the way, if Trump doesn't get into office, there's not going to be that many jobs left. Just kidding. Anyways, another loss to the New York Giants. The Giants lost 21-18 to the Commanders in a game where they lost a kicker in Graham Gano. In a game where he was already questionable. The Giants had to go for 2-on-2 of their 3 touchdowns and failed both times. The Giants became the first team in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns, allow none, and lose in regulation. WFAN Sal Licata says that firing Brian Daboll would be the worst idea for the New York Giants. WFAN Sean Marash said that the Giants should consider buying low on Bryce Young trade and then draft Archie Manning in 2026 if Young doesn't work out. Mike Francesa says he sees warning signs that Malik Neighbors could turn into a selfish player if the Giants continue their downfall. Neighbors has had 15 catches, tied for second in the NFL, and 193 yards, 4th in the NFL through 2 games this season. First of all, to lose against the Commanders, you have to do many things bad. Many things bad. Okay? And when you look at what the Giants did, they didn't really do that many bad things in this game. They really didn't. I mean, Daniel Jones looked better. Okay. They ran the ball. Okay. It wasn't as good as it wasn't good. It was better than week 1, but it wasn't what we expect them to be with Saquon Barkley. They made some good plays in the open field, and they have a star in Malik Neighbors. They do. They have a superstar in Malik Neighbors. The fact that Giant fans, or even Sean Maresh from WFAN, thinks that playing bad for the next 2 seasons will get you Archie Manning, you're out of your damn mind. Sean, I've called your show. I've attacked you on some of your takes with Daniel Jones, comparing them to Aaron Rodgers. You telling me that they're better off bringing in a Waller and getting rid of Saquon Barkley. How does that work out? Waller's retired, and Saquon Barkley has what? 5 touchdowns in 2 games? Yeah, great move, Sean. Great move. Right now, the Giants have nothing that stands out to you on what this team could be or what it should be moving forward this season. The defense looks horrendous. Besides Dexter Lawrence, this defense is horrible. And a guy that they paid, I don't know, $127 million, how many sacks does he have in 2 weeks? The answer? None. 0. They decided to let Saquon Barkley go for a linebacker that's coming from Carolina, a good linebacker. But is he worth $28 million a year when you had a chance to pay your own guy that wanted to be there, that wanted to be a Giant for the rest of his career? Now, Sal Licata saying that Brian Daboll's firing would be horrendous for the New York Giants. Okay, you keep Brian Daboll. Let's look at what the Giants have done since Brian Daboll's wonderful first season. Okay, let's see. They drafted Kayvon Thibodeau. They looked pretty good last year against the bad teams, the bad offensive lines. Now, in the last 2 weeks, Kayvon Thibodeau crying. And who does this remind you of? I don't know. It was an offensive lineman that you drafted in the same year. That's right. Evan Neal complaining about the fans, complaining about what the team and the fans should be doing and this and that and all this other stuff, finding a way to make excuses. Where is that taking Evan Neal? I know what it's taking him. It's taking him to the bench and probably no job next year. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Kayvon Thibodeau, if he keeps it up, it's going to take him to the bench, and it's going to send Joe Shane and Brian Daboll to the workforce program. Both those guys, Joe Shane, and it's not rocket science to see what Malik Neighbors is. He's a good player. But we've seen these LSU guys demand the ball and want the ball all the time. AKA, I don't know, Justin Jefferson being one of them. How many times does he see the ball game? I don't know, 15, 18 times. How's that worked out for Minnesota? How many playoff wins does Minnesota have since Justin Jefferson has been the superstar wide receiver? The answer, I would think, 0. Am I right, Speedy? You are right. 0. So what does Justin Jefferson bring to the table? It gives you an unbelievable regular season and nothing in the playoffs. Malik Neighbors, LSU guy. Odell Beckham, LSU guy. How many playoff wins does Odell Beckham have?
Only with the Rams.
I rest my case. Okay? If we go through all these wonderful wide receivers that came from LSU, let's go Jamar Chase. He's been in a Super Bowl. Did he win a Super Bowl? No. Jamar Chase asking for big money this offseason and hasn't gotten it yet. How's that working out for him? How's that working out for the Bengals right now? By the way, have not looked good in the first 2 weeks. They have not. Okay? Jamar Chase, who wants, I don't know, the biggest contract in NFL history for a wide receiver. What has he done? Here's the problem right now. These wide receivers are pre-Madonnas. And I agree with Mike Francesa. I agree with him. What is it going to take for Malik Neighbors to realize I'm the best player on this team? I'm the best. There's nobody better than me here. I want the ball. Throw the ball to me 15 to 20 times. If you don't, I'm not playing. Or, you know what? I'm going to bitch and moan to the press. And I'm going to say, do you see me on the field? Do you see what I do? The team sucks, but do you see me on the field? What does this remind you? Has anybody seen the movie Jerry Maguire? Remember Cuba Gooding Jr.? Remember what part he played? Remember how he was? This team sucks. My offensive line sucks. They're going to get me killed. What did he have to do to earn the respect of his teammates? Earn the respect to get his big contract. He had to shut up and play the damn game. Malik Neighbors and these prima donna wide receivers, It's different now. That movie came out in 96. These guys are making, at that time, $12 million for 3 years is big money. Now, these guys are making 28, 30, 35 million a year. You kidding me? They're just as important than what? Quarterbacks now in certain aspects of the game. I'm telling you right now, Joe Schoen is not going to last after week 6. And if the Giants believe that Joe Schoen should have another chance, another kick at it at the end of the season and see what he could do and what he could build. Everybody keeps saying, well, the offensive line's played better. How much better? Let me ask you, how much better? Does it matter? This running game that they thought was going to be maybe not as good with Saquon Barkley, without Saquon Barkley, there's nothing there. There is no running game for this Giant offense. Nothing. There is nothing. I don't want to hear about this guy they drafted or that guy they drafted. They've got nothing. They have Malik Neighbors and everybody else. Nobody. There is Dexter Lawrence is the only defensive guy that I would keep on this team right now. Honestly, and that secondary, everybody was talking about, what was his name? Ward? Is it Ward?
Banks.
I'm sorry, Deontay Banks. I'm thinking about somebody else. Deontay Banks, okay? From last year. Remember, he was playing great in the second half. Everybody was like, oh, Deontay, this guy's going to be a number one. What's he done this year? You have to show up week in and week out. Sauce Gardner, we all know what he is, even though he doesn't shut the F up. He has a lot to say, and that's probably why he was sitting out in week 2. I heard there was a story that came out on the reasons why he sat out for the quarter against the San Francisco 49ers. I never got a chance to read it because I've been busy on vacation. Trust me, I'll get a chance to read it. The fact is, play the damn game. And the fact that Dable did not find a kicker before the game, knowing that Gano was not healthy, that he was probably not going to be able to play in this game, that tells me that this coach has no idea what he's doing. He is absolutely lost. How could you go into a game and not have a decent kicker, have any kicker on your bench if you know Gano wasn't going to be healthy? It makes no sense. None of it does. And by the way, where is Joe Schoen, the GM, Mr. Bossman, who asks his kids who he should draft? Maybe he should ask his kids who he should bring off the scrap heap. Because he has absolutely no idea what he is doing as a GM. I don't want to hear that he worked with Buffalo, and that was the reason why they drafted Josh Allen. Give me a break. He thought it was going to be a great move, bringing in some linebacker from another organization and not signing Saquon Barkley. How does that work? And I'm going to tell you this right now. That could be one of the worst signings the Giants have made in years. And I'm not saying that he's not a good linebacker, but to pay a guy $28 million with no sacks and what? 8 tackles in 2 games? There's a problem there, ladies and gentlemen. A huge problem.
Yeah, the Giants have a lot of problems with the offense, especially when the offensive line was actually holding their own again. Now, granted, it was against a really bad defensive line, so I'm not going to take much stock into it when your best edge rusher is Dorrance Armstrong. But you look at the Giants' offensive line actually holding their own, and the Giants still having offensive problems. Yeah, that's going to spell a lot of things that go wrong. If you would just say, if teams are going to say, let's just let Malik Neighbors do his thing and we'll stop everybody else, that's going to be, even for a bad defense, an easy game plan. Washington's secondary is not very good. Washington's edge rushers, like I said, are horrible, and yet they were able to hold an 18 points. That's a recipe for disaster. You were talking about the defense. It seems like the defensive game plan is to stop the number 1 receiver, which they did in Terry McLaurin. He only had 22 yards, but everyone else was going off on them. Noah Brown and I mean, Eckler out of the backfield's good, but then they got all these random guys going off on them, and that's extending drives. Brian Robinson's a good running back, fine, but you're extending drives, third down defense. That's not very good. Your run defense has been horrible all week, like you were talking about, Fish. And they look like they're a team that doesn't have an obvious sense of direction, and it still remains to be a problem. Yes, you have some top players, Lawrence, Thomas, Neighbors, fine. They can only get you so far. It's a 53-man roster. And as far as the kicker situation, there's enough guys on a 53-man roster that have practice squad eligibility. It's not hard to demote one of those guys for a week, go sign a veteran kicker. There's kickers cut all the time because there's only like 6 or 7 good ones in the NFL. Like, it's not hard to go get. Now you get Greg Greg Joseph. You couldn't have done that last week. Like, he's been a fine kicker, not great, but a fine kicker in his career. Instead, you have to go for 2, which, by the way, they have horrible play calls on their 2-point conversion plays. It was just an all-around disaster.
You're on mute.
It was bad. Guys, I can't stay rational talking about the Giants. So bear with me for a second. They played much better than the Commanders in that game. They didn't give up a touchdown, but they can't stop the run. So they ended up letting them score on every drive with a field goal. 7 field goals. It's unbelievable. I don't think I've ever heard of that happening. Again, they said there's the first time that's ever happened where a team scored 3 offensive touchdowns. The other team hasn't scored any, and they've lost the games. First time it's ever happened.
Touchdowns. They didn't even get a defensive or special teams touchdown.
But it's pretty wild. The Giants, look, Daniel Jones didn't really push the ball downfield. He targeted Neighbors on 2/3 of all targets in the game. So it's not like the offense was kind of like hard to figure out. If
Nobody could get open.
Even the Redskins.
Nobody got open. Oh, Malik Neighbors was the only one to get open. You're going to blame that on Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones.
I am going to blame it on Daniel Jones. I'm absolutely going to.
Daniel Jones did everything that he needed to do as a quarterback. He did. He was
to be like a Trent Dilfer. Like, his numbers weren't good. They didn't score to over 20 points. Maybe they would have got a 21 with that field goals.
How about
with the extra point.
How about the play calling?
Yes.
That's not his fault.
I need to get to the play calling and the lack of a kicker on the thing. I'll tell you, I can't stand the lack of a kicker. That I'll never understand. That is a fireable offense. I don't agree with the rest of it. You guys were saying, I think Newbin looks good. I think Drew Phillips looks great in the slot. I think he's one of the best players. He's probably the best player outside of Neighbors that we've got in the last couple of years in the draft. He looks really, really good. Like, we found someone really special there. Banks shut down McLaurin pretty much all game, and he was talking smack, which he usually doesn't do. I was listening that he was very vocal in the game for the first time, really. So that's interesting. And John Michael Schmidt shut down Daron Payne, who is by far the best lineman on that Washington Redskins line. So there were definitely some positives, and Dable this week has said that they're trying to build off of positives like that. You see some players growing, but the big, elephant in the room is the fact they can't stop the run at all. At all. Where are we getting the linebackers filling? Micah McFadden is trash right now. We have nobody. Isaiah Simmons can't do it. They don't have the depth in the front 7. They don't have Chapman might be good as this undrafted rookie free agent. That's who's playing next to Dexter Lawrence, and he's undersized. I don't even think he's even 6 foot tall. So they don't, and Nacho hasn't been very good. That's really what we're looking at. Just a whole bunch of nothing, not stopping the run. And then a guy like Brian Robinson Jr., who's good, not great running back, a tough runner, right? They make him look like he's, like Jerome Bettis out there. It was ridiculous. It was embarrassing. And they bent and broke only just enough to just have such a mid offense not be able to overcome it, because that's what it was. Daniel Jones didn't do anything special. He didn't do anything to lose the game. That's the old Trent Dilfer way. We yet to have a Ravens type defense to win with that, though. And that's definitely not what we're seeing.
Now we're getting the Ravens defense in maybe their worst season of franchise history.
Oh, yeah.
I hold up. I think the Ravens right now being 0-2, everybody's like jumping off a bridge or a plank and think that this season's over. Be careful, because we know what this team is and we know how talented this team is. Be very, very careful on just throwing them under the bus and saying the season's over for them. I do not believe so. They haven't looked good in the last 2 weeks. The Ravens have talent. The Giants, there's a lot of questions with what talent they have. You mentioned some players. You like Deontay Banks? That's fine. I mean, I just gave you a player in Burns who has not been good. I mean, honestly, he has 8 tackles in 2 games and no sacks. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a problem. And if you're a Giant fan, and by the way, I like what I see with Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a good player. I think he's really going to be good. I don't know if he's going to be the best quarterback in this class, but I think he's going to be good. And you could see him inside and out of the pocket. You see his legs. You see what he can do running and making accurate throws. I think the kid's going to be good. And by the way, they couldn't stop Brian Robinson. That we all know that. And again, when you look at Singletary, you look at his numbers, you're like 16 rushes, 95 yards, and a touchdown. That's not Saquon Barkley, guys. I'm sorry. No. It's not Saquon. If Saquon plays in this game, they probably win. I'm just speaking the truth. And I know, Keith, we will get into the Eagles debacle at the end of the game on Sunday Night Football. Oh, I'm sorry, not Sunday, Monday Night Football. And we will get into that. But I want to finish up with this whole Giant thing. Brian Dable, the clock is ticking. It's ticking. Joe Shane, the clock is very much ticking. And if these players don't figure things out, you should have beaten Washington. This team does not figure things out, and they go 0-5 or 0-6. And I want to hear about Arch Manning, okay? That's not even next year. It's the year after. So you're going to tell me the Giants are going to have to be bad for the next 2 seasons to even think about getting Arch Manning? That's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. That's not going to happen. There is no way John Mara is going to let that happen. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. And they're not going to let Joe Shane draft another quarterback. And they're not. And everybody's going to say, well, he hasn't drafted a quarterback. Exactly. They don't want him to draft a quarterback. And they're probably going to have to draft a quarterback at the end of this season. So, and there's not many in this year's draft class. Maybe Beck. It looks good. I think Beck has been the most impressive quarterback so far in college football. But again, it's still early this season, and we'll see what these guys are going to be. Beck could be horrible in the second half. We've seen it. Geno Smith, remember that? He was going to be a Heisman Trophy winner, blah, 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 blah. He fell to the second round. It happens. So right now, the most impressive quarterback right now in college football is Beck. That's who it is. I want to hear Shedeur Sanders because it's not him. So it's, to me, I just think that the Giants and the Giant fans need to hold up on this whole Arch Manning thing. If you guys think for any thought in your mind that Arch Manning is a guarantee shot that the Giants are going to get him in 2026, this isn't Eli Manning, okay? It's not going to happen. So it's just not. No team is going to do that. No team is going to just hand over Eli Manning to the New York Giants. It's just not going to happen. So just my thoughts to that. Again, Giant fans, still early. It's still early. I see you crossing your fingers. I know that's what you want, Fish, but it's not going to happen.
Look, I don't want to suck for 2 years, but I'm not going to say no to Arch Manning, who looks like Eli and Peyton, but with wheels. I'll take that 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000. That would be amazing. But at the same time, let's face it. The Giants have made their bed. They gave Daniel Jones this money instead of Saquon Barkley.
Oh, so this is Daniel Jones's fault. This is all Daniel. This is what I mean about Giant fans. How could you blame this on this?
Everything else has to be perfect for that guy to be able to win. He's
just
basically
Daniel
Trent Dilfer.
It's just not Daniel Jones. You're going to tell me the reason why the Giants didn't play well was because of Daniel Jones? Come on, Fish.
Look at Josh Allen. I know, look, we're not comparing the two.
We're going to get into all the games in week number 2 and our thoughts, because I think Josh Allen right now is
I won't talk about the game itself, but I'll just say this. They don't have much on that roster offensively, and he's carrying them to wins, and he's driving it, and they're just as scared of him as they were when they had Diggs going. That guy is unbelievable. A great quarterback can take a middling offense or below average offense and make them look good. Aaron Rodgers got guys like Alan Lazard paid for years, like Randall Cobb paid for years. These guys, that's what a great quarterback can do. Daniel Jones does not make anyone better. That's the old basketball argument, right? Do you make the rest of your teammates better? There's no one who's going to say Daniel Jones makes anyone better. Definitely not this offense.
Well, speaking of a team that's going to need a lot of help, the Dolphins placed Tua on an injured reserve list after suffering another concussion in the third quarter on Thursday night's game versus the Bills. This happened on a running play when Tua was lowered his head into Damar Hamlin. Bart Scott on First Take says he feels bad for Tua and compared his situation with Tony Dorsett at the end of his career. ESPN's Ryan Clark said both the Dolphins and the NFL have to err on the side of caution when it comes to managing CTE-related issues. Tua's new contract has $124 million in his injury guarantees, which the Dolphins would have to pay if he isn't medically cleared. The Broncos dealt with the last season with Russell Wilson, a a big reason why he was benched in the middle of the season. Rex Ryan said that the Dolphins should give the Steelers a call about Russell Wilson after naming Justin Fields their Week 3 starter. Former quarterback Chase Daniel proposed a 3-team trade with the Dolphins, Rams, and Panthers, which would be Dolphins getting Matthew Stafford, the Rams getting Bryce Young, and the Panthers getting a 2nd and 3rd round pick. That is not going to happen, by the way. And Chase Daniels, we love you. I love what you got to say. Most of the time, this is a horrible take. All right. The Tua thing is sad. And if I was a guy like Tua Tagovailoa, I would probably retire. He's had too many concussions in a 4-year span, and that's counting college. This is a guy that earned his money. He's going to receive his money, and no matter what, he's going to get $124 million guaranteed, no matter what happens if he can't play again. Why go out there and put your body or your head at risk? Andrew Luck didn't want to do it anymore. Andrew Luck was one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL. Tua, I would say last 2 seasons, has been amongst the top 7, top 8 quarterbacks in the league when it comes to yards, touchdowns, and everything like that. How many concussions has he had in the last 3 years? What is it, 5? 4? That tells me he is going to have brain trauma after his football career. And what worries me about Tua is that he's still, 27 years old? How many concussions does he need to realize his career is done? It's over. That wasn't intentional, by the way. Damar Hamlin, who's gone through so much, I've read some things on social media. That was not intentional. Okay, for anybody that came out and said that it was intentional, Damar Hamlin had nothing to do with intentionally trying to hurt Tua. What I do know, Ryan Clark, Art Scott, they all know a little bit about concussions. They know all about CTE and the situation that the NFL is going through over the last couple of years, and that the NFL is trying to clean this up and try to fix it and trying to change rules and kickoff rules and all this other stuff. Is it going to benefit in the long run? It hasn't. You're trying to protect these quarterbacks, and these quarterbacks are going down every single year. And it's not just concussions. It's the field. If the NFL knows the field is not healthy for these players, why don't you change it back to grass? But they don't want to do it because guess what? Players say it helps their speed, and the NFL thinks it helps the game, that it's turf. I disagree. When we've heard players come on this show and tell us it's like hitting cement. It's not. Grass is like, I can't even explain it. It's like hitting, falling on a rug, and then you're playing on turf. It don't matter how thick the turf is, you're putting your body at risk. And that also causes concussions because of the turf. Because what happens when your head hits the turf? It's like hitting cement. So why isn't the NFL fixing that? Why aren't they realizing that the turf is not healthy for these players? That's one. Number 2, I look at the quarterback position as the most important position in professional sports. It is. And to lose a star quarterback, your number 1, your franchise quarterback that you just paid a ton of money in the offseason, sets your team back now this season. I do not believe Tua will be back for at least 8 to 9 weeks. And if I was Tua, I'd sit out for the rest of the season. And then obviously go to specialists and doctors and figure out if it's worth me stepping on a football field again in my career. I've already made $124 million guaranteed. I made some money as a rookie. I am set for life. My family's family is set for life. I just made almost $200 million in 4 years of football. There is no reason for him to go back out there and put his life or his family on the line. And yes, a life. One day he's going to go down. He's not going to get back up. That's scary. And if I know Tua is getting married or just got married and he wants kids, how is it going to feel when you have kids And you're at the age of 50, 53, and you're in a wheelchair, and your kids that are 20 years old are pushing you around because you don't even know how to feed yourself. That would be worrisome if I was Tua Tagovailoa. I want a life after football. I know you love the game, the camaraderie. We've heard Tom Brady when walking away, that was the thing that he was going to miss. Traveling, hanging out with the boys. It just, to me, as a football phenomenon and a person that studies the game of football the way I have over the years and played football, I have only had one concussion in my life playing all competitive sports. And that goes from hockey, football, all the different sports, baseball, basketball. I played competitive for many, many years. I've only had one concussion, and it wasn't even in football or any sport. It was in a car accident, okay? So that tells you one thing. And I would worry if I was the Dolphins, not because I had to pay him, not because he's a player on my team and on my franchise and my franchise depends on. I'm worried that this guy is going to go out there and he's going to put everything on the line and he's going to die on a football field. That's what I would be worried about. And my quarterback, my franchise player, is going to go out there, put his life on the line. He's going to get hit one day and he's not going to get back up. And then I'm going to be blamed as a franchise that I should have stepped in and said, "Oh, Tua, it's over. It's over. We love you. We gave you the contract that you wanted. We got to move on. We have to move on at this position. We don't want to see you go down. We don't want to see something happen that we're going to regret as a franchise." Because to me, right now, the Dolphins, they're 1-1. Losing Tua, it's going to be a long season. They don't have a real backup. I've heard that Tom Brady might come out of retirement. He's not going to come out of retirement. Guys, stop it. He's not going to do that. All right. They're looking at other options. What are the options? Tyrod Taylor is a Jet. He's going nowhere. So where are your options at? That's what I'm worried about. If you're a Dolphin fan, you can't be happy about this. But you also want to make sure that your quarterback and this player is not stupid enough to go back out there sometime this year and put his body and his life on the line for the game of football. I wouldn't do that. And even as a Jet fan, and I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy, and I'm this and I'm that, if I know that this guy's life is on the line, even as a fan, I'd say, you know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
And you can only do build up so much with trying to build up the offensive line. And again, that's the argument I think that a lot of people were worried about with Tua at the start of the year because Miami lost a lot of offensive linemen. But that particular play that he got hurt on, that was completely him not having those instincts to protect his head. Why is he trying to barrel his head into DeMar Hamlin? Stop blaming DeMar Hamlin. Whoever's doing that on social media, that's absolutely ridiculous. He's doing what he has to do, making a tackle. Tua had the first down. He could have just slid. There's a reason you're taught to slide as a quarterback. That's why Cam Newton got hurt a lot. That's why Lamar Jackson has gotten hurt a lot because they weren't sliding at the beginning of their career. And as much as we like to bash Russell Wilson, I will give him a lot of credit. He has, until recently, hasn't had any injury issues as a running quarterback in the past for sliding at the beginning of his career. And Tua had a lot of mobility issues because of injuries he got in college with his legs. Now he's getting more of them with his head the last 3 years, and that's a big problem for his long-term health. And that kind of thing, those instincts don't go away. Yes, you could protect the turf all you want. He still might have gotten hurt on that particular play. The offensive line, as bad as it is, that wasn't their fault. Like, those kind of instincts have to be cleaned up if he wants to continue his football career. And I think he does. It doesn't seem like a guy that wants to retire by any means. And Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins organization seems like they're supporting him in that decision. But he has to get those instincts gone if he wants to continue his career. Otherwise, yeah, maybe he has another Andrew Luck that has to retire.
And the whole Matthew Stafford thing is ridiculous. I understand that the Rams don't look good. They just lost Puka Nacua for a couple of weeks. They lost Cooper Kupp, which is killing me on my fantasy. I'm screwed. Okay. It's been a bad couple of weeks for, yes, yours truly when it comes to fantasy. But nevertheless, you gotta move on. You gotta hope that some of these other players that you drafted are going to show up and appear to be half decent so you can stay afloat until these guys come back. But there's no way the Rams are just going to trade away Matthew Stafford the season is not over. And if they could stay afloat, in a division that's wide open. Okay, Seattle's not that good. Arizona is not that good. And San Francisco is good, but I mean, San Francisco just lost Christian McCaffrey. We don't know when he's coming back, if he's coming back, So where are they at as an organization? So, I mean, it is wide open. So if I was the Rams, I don't just throw the season away and say, you know what, we'll bring Bryce Young in. That makes sense. That makes no sense for Sean McVay. That makes no sense for Matthew Stafford if he wants to go to the Dolphins. And again, maybe Matthew Stafford likes California. He's from California. Why would he want to move his family to Miami in the middle of the season? It doesn't make sense.
Miami can't even afford it anyway.
It's not going to happen.
Matthew Stafford's on the end of a big contract.
They have a better chance of getting Tom Brady. They have a better chance of getting Tom Brady than getting Matthew Stafford. So Chase Daniels and whoever thinks that this is going to happen, I think you need to kick dirt or, hang out in a locker room or something. I mean, and chat with some other quarterbacks that are not playing right now.
I think theoretically where he's coming from, it makes sense, but he has to analyze the financial.
Maybe Chase Daniels can come out of retirement and be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. That makes better sense than bringing in a Matthew Stafford.
He probably, after Ryan Fitzpatrick's the second highest paid backup. So who knows?
Oh man, it's ridiculous.
By the way, we have Keith on the phone. Yeah, Keith.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, Keith?
Yeah, it's it's hard for a guy. That's what he does for a living. That's what he loves. A lot of guys have had more concussions, but yeah, the whole slot going head first is just, I guess you can't help your natural instinct. But it was, even the players are saying, like, what the hell is he doing? Thinking as he's doing, like, no, don't go head first. But I don't see him. I think he'll come back.
He'll come back probably, but that doesn't mean the instincts are not going to go away.
That doesn't mean he's going to die or anything, but by the time he's 50 or 60, he'll be shot. If not, like all the other guys.
Five concussions in 3 years, Keith. I mean, that's
I know. I agree with you. I just don't think he will.
No, he won't.
No,
and that's what worries me more than anything, because this guy's putting his. I am.
Fuck him.
No, you don't want anybody to go down.
You know what I mean?
You don't want anybody to go down.
If he makes a choice, that's on him, ultimately. So, worried about him? Nah. I'm worried about you, young lady. I mean, young guy, man.
You call me young lady?
That was not for Speedy, actually. But anyway, as far as the Rams, I would trade Stafford because they definitely season is done. They're horrible, like I told you they would be.
Miami can't afford it, though. If they could afford it, maybe.
Well, yeah, you're right. They can't. Well, I would, and Thompson honestly sucks. I don't know what they're going to do. Well, you know what? Getting Huntley is a bad, man.
Oh, that's Jeff's boy, Tyler Huntley.
Snoop.
But you know what I mean? He played well with the Ravens.
Oh, Keith, you want a good?
Yeah, he was a Pro Bowl player. That's because half the players decided they didn't want to play in the Pro Bowl.
Which is the reason 2 years ago Jeff said Tyler Huntley was a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Oh, please. What a joke.
He's right.
Get out of here. Come
on, Keith. Even 2 years ago.
But he's not bad. He really isn't.
But he's not Dak Prescott. And I'm not.
He's not Dak Prescott from 2 years ago.
I know that. But so what? It's not a bad pickup for right now, I'm saying.
No, it's a good pickup.
A guy like that. Better than Thompson.
Yeah.
Christ, Speedy, you'd be better than Thompson.
No, that's not true. But yes, Tyler Huntley looks like a Pro Bowler compared to Skylar Thompson.
Yeah,
maybe he does in that scheme. No, I'm not.
Stop.
Don't try to fool yourself, Keith. Otherwise, you might end up getting CT like Tua.
Errol, as far as ice cream sandwich bet, I guess we'll stay into the flying saucers. But Cousins, he looked awful in the first week.
Yes, he
didn't look great last week. He looked good. I don't know. It's a weird team. Who knows with them?
I'll tell you this.
I picked Allen up on my fantasy this week. I couldn't believe nobody else went for it in my league because I'm in first place right now, and with my family league, I got whatever. But I picked him up. Like, why wouldn't anybody else pick him up?
He was outside the top 200 of consensus ranking, so unless your league is large, it probably wouldn't have been like that easy.
Oh, it's 12 guys. No. It's a good pickup. Look at
it's a good pickup. I would have drafted him too. I had him like 150.
No, I picked him up on my bench. Okay, I got a great bench. But I'm like, why not? And especially if Say Hall gets hurt. now I'm suddenly getting a shitload of points.
Well, here's another thing with Braylon Allen. I think Braylon Allen, he's going to be used a lot in this offense now, because the Jets trust that he can run the ball and he's going to run with authority. And Breece Hall,
you think it was a good pickup for me?
I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to touch the ball a lot more now because the Jets trust that he can run the ball and he can run it down the hole. Breece Hall he's become more dependent on catching the ball in the backfield and using his legs on the outside. I think now with Braylon Allen's going to be a power back. He's going to beat, and he can punish. The thing with Braylon Allen, and this is what Josh Jacobs did with the New York Giants, is he punished the defensive linemen all those years. That's what he did. And what did he open up? He opened up for Bradshaw. He opened up for Ward, and that's why they were earth, wind, and fire. But Jacobs was one who was pounding in and weakening that defensive line. And I think that's what the Jets are going to use a guy like Braylon Allen. They're going to
make. And the thing with Allen's faster than Jacobs ever was. Yeah. He flies, man. I can't believe how fast he is. And they talked about that in preseason. You could tell that that's a great pickup. Great draft choice right there.
Well, again, the Jets are going to have to hope that he stays healthy, because the Jets, all these great pickups, these great offensive and defensive players that they draft within a year or 2 years of, a guy like Joe Douglas, these guys don't stay healthy. I mean, look, Jermaine Johnson goes down for this season. He's with a torn Achilles. This is his second year and his first full year as a starter, and he's down. He's out for the season. What's next? Garrett Wilson? I mean, that's what bothers me about these players.
Jets, you got to expect that. You knew it was going to happen.
So why are they swaying away from the process? Just because they're the Jets?
Yes. They're cursed.
I don't believe any of that. I don't.
No, I'm fucked with it. But seriously, though, but it's just the Jets' shit luck.
It's just bad luck. And again, if you're a Jet fan and you're excited.
I am a huge Jet fan, as you know.
Yeah. If you're a Jet fan and you're excited.
Me and your boy, Jeff.
Yeah, okay. All right, stop. If you're a Jet fan and you're excited for what you've seen in the first 2 weeks, I'm going to tell you this right now. This is not what we expected.
Jet fan who's happy about the first 2 weeks. But the fourth quarter, I was like, okay, this is what they expected from their day. Okay, that's, it showed up, definitely. Offensively, they looked much better. I think because of Allen, bringing him in, he's a huge weapon. And like Fish said, they got to find a way to get him in there more, and they will. Well, maybe. Who knows who that coach?
And as far as Atlanta is, I think Atlanta is the real deal.
I know they're a weird team.
They're not. They have a lot of weapons. They still haven't used Kyle Pitts as much as they should.
I think they'll be good. I would be good, but you don't know.
Bijan Robinson is a star. To me, the guy is a beast, and they got to keep giving him the ball.
I kind of hate it.
Algieri, he's another guy that can run the ball. They have two really good backs. They have Drake London who can catch the ball.
London's really good.
They have weapons, and the offensive lines played well, and they have a good defense when they show up game in and game out. There are plays that they just don't show up. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I am not surprised that the Eagles lost that game. And I'm an Eagles guy.
Let me tell you, like I told you, the Eagles weren't going to be that good. And I still think that.
First of all, I think the Eagles are fine. They just don't have a pass rush. The problem.
But that whole division sucks.
The problem with the Eagles right now is their coach. Their coach doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He has absolutely no idea what he's doing. And at the end of the game, after they scored and everybody thought it was over, and then they just let the ball go right down the field and gave Atlanta a touchdown the way they did. It was despicable. It was despicable.
One thing you got to say, and I'm going back and forth with this myself. Okay, like me, probably, I don't know. I would have, but he probably felt confident with the play, and it was a great play call, and Barkley's wide open, and as usual, he drops key passes.
Well, he didn't. First of all, he was looking at who was behind him. He
does that all the time, though. He's been doing that since he was a Giant. You know he does. Well, he's a great player, but he does. He drops key passes all the time because you know what he does? I guess this is not his own thing. He looks up before he takes the ball in. So, and he does that a lot. He's a leading running back pass dropper in the last 4 years in the NFL by far.
I'd love Saquon Barkley anyways, because Saquon Barkley, I don't know, he has 46 rushes,
but you know what?
204 yards, and
fuck,
3
and he's not a
touchdowns.
great
That's
player.
pretty good for me. I mean, I'd take that
Oh,
any
of
day.
course, if you have a fantasy, yeah. But as far as, you know what? It's still a right move by the Giants, in my opinion, because they're going to suck with him or without him. I'm glad for Barkley got the hell out of there. But either way, you know what? They're going to sell out anyway, so they're not going to make any less money. Singletary's done a fine job. Last week played great. And either way, they're going to
Last week he did not play great. He had
week
did.
one?
He had
No.
98 yards. No, he didn't.
He
had-
played well receiving, not
Yes, he did.
running.
This week he played
He's
okay.
still at 98 yards. I'm saying
This
he's on
week.
Barkley.
This
He's
week.
not even close as Barkley. The
This
first
week.
This past week he played fine.
Yes. The week before that he played like
Oh,
garbage.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Last week's games.
They also played against not a very good defense, okay? Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, right. But I'm saying he's still – listen, I think they made the right move.
If Saquon Barkley played in this game, how many yards do you think he has?
What's that?
If Saquon Barkley played in this game, how many yards do you think he has?
With the Giants, maybe about the same, maybe a little more.
You're out of your
Only
mind.
thing is,
You're out of your mind. He would have had 100.
You're not
He would have had
listening. You better hear me out
160
before you start
yards and
saying
2
that.
touchdowns. I've been hearing you out. You haven't even let me speak. You've been speaking the whole time. What are you
No,
speaking
I-
about? Yes,
I-
you have. Yes, you
Okay.
have. You've been cutting me off every single time. Go ahead. Speak.
Go.
Let's
No,
hear
you
it.
go.
Let's go. Let's hear it. Go ahead. Say
So
it.
what I'm saying is they're poorly coached, right? As you know. And I don't think it doesn't make a difference anyway. If
It
the
doesn't.
Giants had them, they're going to suck either way.
So you're telling me if Saquon Barkley played in this game, they don't win? No, you're out of your mind.
Oh, come on.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Come on, man.
You have lost it. You have lost it.
Singletary can only run
Are
on the
you
outside.
crazy?
You talk like it's
Get out of
fact.
here.
That's your opinion.
Get out of here. There's no doubt in my mind they win this game if they had Saquon
Bullshit.
Barkley.
Maybe he would have dropped the
Oh.
pass like he did. Hey, let me ask you a question.
Let's hear
If
it.
Barkley catches the pass, do the Eagles win?
No.
Why?
No.
If Barkley caught that pass, do the Eagles win?
No.
That last pass, he would have clinched it for them.
How do we know he would have gotten in? We don't know if he would have gotten
Of
in.
course he was getting in.
They just needed a first
We
down.
find him. It would have been a first
Hey,
down. But
ask Fish and Speedy right now. Do you think they get in? To be honest.
Yes, they get a first down. That doesn't mean it was the only reason they lost the game.
Wait. They
Well,
get
watch
the
the
first
play
down, they run
again.
the clock out if
Go
they
watch
don't
the
get
play.
it.
Go watch the play.
So would they have won?
Most of the Eagles fans I've
Would
seen
they
on
have won?
How do we know if he
Barkley
caught it?
the
How do we
pass,
know
Speedy?
if he didn't get? Hold on. How do we know if he caught it? If you watch it right here, how do we know he turns his head, he gets hit, and he drops the ball? How do we know? How do
If
we know
what?
that didn't happen and they run it in for a touchdown? How do we know?
No, he doesn't have to run it for a touchdown. They win the game if he catches the pass.
Keith, he still wouldn't have gotten the first down there. There's a good chance he
He
wouldn't have.
doesn't have to. They throw down. They take a knee. Right? Speedy, you know it's true.
probably, but maybe.
Okay, I'm probably Speedy. Stop.
But again, it's not the only reason they lost.
But no, it's the same point as you.
How about
Most
stopping
likely,
How about
wait,
stopping
listen.
Atlanta? How about stopping
You're
Atlanta?
right. Most likely, if Barkley was to the Giants, they would have won, right? Most likely, 99.9% chance if Barkley catches the pass, they would have won. He's dropped passes like that his whole career.
Yeah, most likely is fine, but it's also not the
Exactly.
only
But
reason
same
they
thing.
lost.
Same thing as you guys. No, I agree. If you make the play call, though, where they run it again and let the time run out, they probably win. Yes, I said the shitty coaching. Okay? We don't know for a fact that Barkley would have won because we have no idea what would have happened, what other calls they make. You know what I'm saying? The Giants are poorly coached, so I get it what you're saying, yeah. Probably, but either way, it's a good move because they're not going to make the playoffs no matter goddamn what. I want them, and I'm not like you, to go 0-17 so they can get Hunter. I really do. They're going to suck, and you know it with Barkley without. Am I right?
There's no guarantees they're going to draft Hunter anyways if they're in the top two or
No,
top three.
I know that because they need a quarterback. But if I was them, I wouldn't care. Still, I draft Hunter because he's the best collegiate player I've seen in years. He goes both ways, so think about that.
I'm sure he
And
goes
you
both
know
ways.
it. You agree with me.
Definitely goes
You
both
agree with
ways.
me. He is. Is
Definitely.
he not?
Oh, he definitely goes both ways. And who knows what he does in the bedroom, you know?
well, that's going to he goes three ways for farm animals too, I heard. But especially to him,
Let's ask
Colorado.
Deion. Let's ask Deion. He might
With the
know.
Buffaloes, you know what I'm saying? Oh, with the Buffaloes. So he he goes 3 ways. But no, the thing of still playing that great, playing the whole game. It's actually stupid of Sanders. He's going to hurt the guy. He could actually get the guy hurt. But he don't give a fuck. Sanders cares about himself.
No.
Nobody said he was the brightest either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
We know that
Sanders
to be
is
true.
And you know, I did think, as I said, of going both ways. You beat me to it.
Well,
but
if there's anybody that knows that, it's Deion Sanders.
That's true. Well, Speedy, you would know more than anybody if Deion goes that way.
No, I wouldn't. I don't know where you get that context from, but
if
Travis
Speedy.
Hunter does do that, he could impersonate the Odell Pizza
That's what
bedroom
your
video.
boy said over there when it's Speedy after dark. I don't know.
Oh, Odell Beckham.
Yeah, that'll be Travis Hunter will be impersonating that with that chick was in the pizza box with
And
Odell.
Speedy, I heard he sounded like a buffalo. I mean a horse.
What? There were no horses in that video,
What?
Keith.
What?
I'm intrigued. I'm not gonna lie. I'm down.
Keith, there were no horses nor buffaloes in that video.
Hey, listen, Colorado's got plenty of farm animals, Speedy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
Okay,
Yeah,
ask Travis Hunter if he's had any encounters with them. I doubt it, but I don't know.
He gets it on with Sanders' son, both of them.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense than a horse or a buffalo.
All right, well, back to the Buffaloes, but either way, I want the Giant, and I was talking to a Giant fan today, and he says, no, I don't want them to lose every game. I go, this team will be lucky if they win 3 games.
Okay.
Am I right?
Probably right at this point, yeah.
Okay. With Barkley, let's say they would win maybe 2 or 3 more, if they're lucky.
Okay, they beat Washington, though. That's
So
one.
what?
That's one.
Maybe. You don't know for a fact, because they're a dumb, poorly coached team.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying.
Devin
It's not a
Singletary
fact,
does not run well
I agree.
outside. Saquon
Most
does
likely
well
they win.
well inside.
Most likely to win, but who are they going to beat of the world? The Washington?
So you obviously are against what Salicata is saying that if Dable gets fired, it's a big mistake. So you are absolutely against Salicata, right?
Yeah, I think think Dable should be fired.
I do too. I think Dable should have been fired a while ago.
Damn. Just for that reason being, just for the fact that you don't pick up a kicker before that, is that insane? Now I don't know how I didn't know that he was hurt, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why the fuck are they going for 2? But all right, so they tried the kick and he missed the extra point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what? You got to keep doing. Either way, it's
You
their
could have
fault.
brought in an ex-college player, a CFL kicker. I think
Someone
that.
have brought me in a kick.
I mean,
And I have, I'm crippled with especially my right leg. It's a better stance.
we've interviewed a lot of kickers that could probably kick in the NFL still. Why don't they reach out to any of them? I mean, come on.
Right.
How do you not
It's
do
ridiculous. So, no, we agree. I think he should have been fired immediately.
that? I would love to be a fly on the wall in Joe Shane's office after
Oh, my
Sunday's
God.
game. I would have loved to
Well, you
hear
know
what
what?
John
How does
Mara
Shane-
said to both of those idiots.
They both should be gone. How does he not? Either one, get a kicker. Out of here, out of here.
I first of all, you know what I feel about Joe Shane. That whole Hard Knocks bull crap was all about him. It had nothing to do with the Giants. It was everything with Joe Shane. It should have
He
been,
should have been the
Joe
first guy fired.
Shane,
He was the coach.
Giants, Hard Knocks. That's what it should have been. Not Giants Hard Knocks. It should have been Joe Shane, Giants Hard Knocks.
Well, they embarrassed themselves on that show.
Oh, they absolutely. He embarrassed
It
himself.
showed what a shitty organization they become.
Yeah.
And, I know I become a Jet fan,
Oh, God.
but
Why?
I always have.
Why would you do that? That's a big mistake, too.
There's the Giants even worse.
Yeah, well,
we know.
There's no doubt. I mean, when you have a guy named
Hey, listen, I got
Bambi
plenty
running
of
the
Super
team,
Bowls to leave.
organization. Yeah.
Doesn't make the Jets still not somewhat dysfunctional when it comes to.
Oh, well, I'm going into Ranger territory now. It'll be like since 1940 and whatever. But Yankees
1994.
got plenty of World Series. About the Yankees, why not talk about that?
Well, we'll talk about the Yankees a little bit later. You
All right,
can
real
call up.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good move, Strowman going to the bullpen, right? Screw him.
What happened? What was the question?
I like the move of Strowman going to the bullpen and pitching meaningless relief.
I think so, too.
Maybe he could go long relief if needed, though, in a tight game, too. It was a good move because Cortez is definitely better.
Finally, Aaron Boone is doing the right thing. I mean, I like Aaron Boone. I don't
Yeah.
take shots at him. I
Yeah,
like
well,
Aaron Boone.
finally. Finally, he got the pitching figured out. He does. The
Yes.
bullpen. I was saying forever, when is he going to make Weaver the fucking closer?
The Yankees should win the pennant. They should win the pennant. They
Yes,
should run
yes.
away with it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
The Yankees, Phillies.
2 weeks
Yankees,
left.
Or maybe the
I'm
Mets.
looking forward to
Yeah,
seeing what happens.
Yeah, I think the Yankees will win. And I hope it's Houston. They
Well,
face.
keep listening. We'll get into the Yankees
All
a
right,
little
man.
bit later in the show, buddy. So you could call.
Remember,
Hmm?
well, as I always say, Speedy, it's only a lie. It's not a lie if you believe it.
Thank you, Keith.
Before we get our guests, and we're just waiting for Jeremy. Fish, I wanted to get your comment
Yes,
you made in the private
yes,
chat. Who do you
yes.
think the Dolphins should trade for?
So there's obviously not a lot of great choices, and no one in like the AFC is really going to be willing to give anybody. But there's a flashy team that has an extra quarterback that'd rather put Cooper Rush out there as a backup than Trey Lance. Trey Lance is available.
I'm a Dolphins fan.
Stop.
I'll tell you right now, it's either him or Bryce Young are the only
How about
guys that
Ryan
you can get
Tannehill? How about that?
for cheap.
How about Ryan
Look,
Tannehill?
He's pretty old, you know. We'll
Who
see. I
cares?
mean, and it didn't end
He's
well.
competent.
It did not end well when he was there the first time.
He doesn't have a job right now. Might as well make him he's a competent quarterback, is he not? He's definitely more.
He wasn't
competent.
the last couple of years, but you would be right. He's more competent than those two guys.
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of upside with Trey Lance. No one's really given him a shot. I think the reason is he looks terrible when he's in practice or something like that. But he is really fast. You can do some kind of interesting running stuff, and you know McDaniels loves the running game. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him maybe try to flip like a 5th or a 6th to Dallas for, you know, flashy teams trading with each other. It just sounds too good to be true. Those two teams, you know, that's what I would do. If they're trying to go for Bryce Young, we're going to talk about him after our guest. Yeah, Bryce Young has only played a little over a year, and he was the number one overall pick.
He's done.
But I don't know if you go for him.
He's just like Zach Wilson. He's right now. If Canales can't fix him, nobody can. Canales, you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield. Look what Baker Mayfield's doing right now. I mean, come on. I mean, who would have thought that Baker Mayfield, besides Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who would have thought that? By the way, how's Sam Darnold doing? Jet fans, what are you going to say about that one? Oh, my God. It makes me sick. It makes me sick watching Sam Darnold make these throws and look like a superstar player. It's just fitting to watch another Jets quarterback go to another franchise and show up and actually play as well as he has. So I want to let everybody know this. I thought Sam Darnold was going to have a good year. Anybody that listens to the show, I have said, watch Sam Darnold have this great year where he's a borderline Pro Bowl player. He throws 3,500 yards and 28, 30 touchdowns. And then next year, Minnesota's going to have questions on who their starter is going to be. Because how could you not extend Sam Darnold if he has a great season? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. Who would have thought this? I mean, honestly, he's been one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFC in the first 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I think there was a graph. I saw on Twitter that Geno Smith had like some of the best accuracy rankings, and Sam Darnold was like 4th or 5th or something like that.
Makes me sick.
Battle of the former Jets quarterbacks in a small sample MVP race.
It is unbelievable. They're 2-0. They're putting up points. They're playing defense, and Sam Darnold has been unbelievable. I mean, the throws that he's making, throwing it down, and I knew this was going to happen because he actually has a competent wide receiver that could go up there and get the ball. Now, we'll see if Justin Jefferson plays this week. He did get hurt. He says that he might, but we'll see. Justin Jefferson doesn't like to sit down for anybody. So they're saying this is a hamstring again. If it is a hamstring, the Minnesota Vikings are going to be cautious and make sure that he is at least 95 to 90% healthy to put him out there, because this guy is their franchise. He is their franchise. So, but I mean, the Vikings are the best team in the NFC North. Who would have thought that? And with a backup quarterback that been a journeyman, really since he left the New York Jets. So,
and no Addison, no Hawkinson, and I think one of their offensive linemen was hurt in that game.
Dude, he's been unbelievable. I mean, the surprise so far this season and comeback player of the year is Sam Darnold. I don't know if anybody would even argue that right now on what he's putting up, the numbers that he's putting up, and just the dominance of what he's. And by the way, he's very coachable. You see him when he throws the ball away or he makes a mistake, you see the coach come to him. O'Connell comes to him. You can see that he's listening. He's drawing, he's drawing it up for him right on the sidelines. He's sitting right next to him, and Sam's just listening and watching. If there's any position Sam Darnold wants to be, it's right where he is right now. And I'm going to tell you this right now. There could be some arguments in the offseason. Do they go with, the quarterback that they drafted in the offseason? Or do they move him and keep Sam Darnold? Remember, Sam Darnold was the youngest quarterback drafted 7 years ago. He's 27 years old. He's still really young, and he's just going into the prime of his career. We've seen quarterbacks really turn it around. Kirk Cousins didn't get his shot until he was like 26.
Yep.
And look what Kirk Cousins become. So
still my favorite fantasy name of all time that year when he was named starter over RG3.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now, Sam Darnold's going to be the hottest name in the offseason. Hottest name. And mark my words. This isn't a fluke. This is not a fluke for all you fans out there. Sam will be doing this all season long. Minnesota's going to be fighting for that division. Everybody keeps talking about the Lions. The Lions have not looked good. They have not. And by the way, Sam Laporta, who I love, he hasn't looked good the first 2 weeks. They got to use more Sam Laporta. They got to get him more involved. I expected more from the young Lions team. They're not playing as well as I expected them to do over the first 2 weeks. But we'll see. It's still early. The Packers earned, they earned that win. I'm going to tell you that. They earned that win. But who's to say that's going to continue going? I mean, hopefully Jordan Love, don't rush Jordan Love back, but hopefully Jordan Love comes back and it can maybe, but this division is wide open, and this is one of the best divisions in football. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mintz will be joining us. We will be talking to former Jaguars, Broncos, and Cowboys defensive lineman, our friend, Jeremy Mincey, here on the Sports Loudmouth.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every single Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listing for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Oh, my God. It's been a long one. It's been a long one, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of something long, we got StubHub, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't know what StubHub is, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to help you. All you have to do to go to StubHub and order tickets. You want to go to sports games, you want to go to concerts, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Hit the link on our website. It is StubHub. You hit the link, you get 10 to 15% off of any tickets, any sports game, any baseball, hockey, football game throughout the season, CFL game, or concerts out there. If you want to go see The Weeknd, you can go and see them over there in Europe. If you want to go see Train or Speedy, got a chance to see them at Jones Beach, you can go. They're right now traveling with REO Speedwagon. You can go anywhere. Just go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com and hit the link, StubHub. And there is somebody that likes to hit links. That's for damn sure. And he's a guy that we really look forward to interviewing him every single time he comes on our show. We're now talking to former Jaguars, Broncos, and Cowboys defensive lineman Jeremy Mincey. Jeremy, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
You look good, man. I mean, you're wearing the glasses. You're getting buff, man. And you look like you lost a lot of weight, man.
Yeah, I lost about 15. I got about 30 more to go.
30 more to go. What are you doing, man? What's the secret?
Apple cider vinegar as soon as you wake up with some water.
Apple cider vinegar. That's it?
And working out.
Working out, showing those muscles. Flex for us, man. Show us those muscles, man. Look at those. Look at that. There you go. You're eating a lot of beef, man. You got those protein bars down the hatch, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, you got to share those protein bars because I was eating really greasy crap over there in Florida. I was down there enjoying myself. But anyways, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. And we all know what you've been doing over the last couple of years outside of the NFL. But the NFL just started. The season just started. 2024 just started. What are your thoughts in the first 2 weeks? What do you see moving forward for the Cowboys and obviously the Jaguars and the Broncos? Your three teams of what you've seen in the first 2 weeks, and what do you like and what you not like of all three teams?
I like the Cowboys first game. Second game, they didn't deliver. I just think they didn't have the energy or the attitude that day, and I think they could bounce back from it. There's always games like that happen. And then we got to give credit to the Saints because they played an amazing game. They was flying around, man. They definitely gonna be one of those teams to watch this year. And Jacksonville, I haven't seen much of it.
There's not much to watch, let me tell you. I mean, they have not been very good. 0-2, and a lot of excuses after these two games. I will say that. And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he stands, he's the captain, he's the leader, he's the franchise. You paid him $55 million. But I've been telling all you fans out there, all you Jacksonville fans, all you Trevor Lawrence lovers, that I just thought you overpaid for a quarterback that really has not developed into the player that everybody thought he was going to be. And Jacksonville's 0-2, man. I mean, as much as I love, and I repeat, I love their coach, and I love what he's done really as a leader over the years and won a Super Bowl. He's on a hot seat. And if the Jacksonville Jaguars don't get out of this, and by the way, what's going on with Christian Kirk? I mean, he's on the field. Why is he not seeing the ball? Why isn't he has not been thrown the ball? It makes no sense when he's been your number one guy for the last couple of years. He's 100% healthy, and he's only averaging 40, 30 yards a game. I mean, he's looked horrible because he's not seeing the ball enough. So what is it? I don't understand. You haven't seen it, so it doesn't make any sense. So.
I mean, politics as usual, Sports are based on a lot of politics, so we don't know what they politicking in that locker room. All we got to do is just sit back and watch it unfold. Let's see.
If I had a whip, I'd start whipping somebody. Let me tell you. If I had a whip, I'd start whipping somebody.
We volunteer Evan Ingram as tribute.
That's a whole nother story with Evan Ingram. That's for a whole nother Mr. Pot Hands himself, who hasn't really started off the season pretty good either.
Well, he didn't play in week 2. It wasn't his fault.
Exactly. All right, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the Trevor Lawrence contract on a long-term basis. Obviously, it was surprising he got the highest paid at the time, and obviously he has to take that kind of step up. Like, do you think a lot of it is on him? A lot of it's on the coaching, like with him. And would you have given him that money now when he had 2 more years left on his rookie deal?
I would have waited. I mean, he showed promise, but he didn't show consistency. And that's the problem. Like, I think they overbid too much in this league. And, I'm from the era where you had to prove it to get paid, and you had to play out your contract. So, I didn't understand the move, but, hey, we just got to sit back and let it unfold.
Well, we know it's already unfolded, and it's definitely not folding back. That's for damn sure. I mean, if you were an envelope, you might as well wrap it up and just say, you know what, you made a big mistake, because right now, Trevor Lawrence, I know it's early, but Trevor Lawrence is not worth the money that they paid him. And by the way, another team that hasn't looked really good is the Bengals. They're 0-2 in the first 2 weeks. And by the way, the Lamar Jackson Ravens are 0-2. Two teams that everybody expected were absolute playoff contenders. Two teams that are 0-2 and started off the season really bad with two of the best quarterbacks in the league. What are your thoughts to that?
Well, I think the Ravens' record doesn't reflect how good they really are.
Mm-hmm.
And you forgetting he lost. I mean, the first game he lost by an inch. You know what I'm saying? So who knows what if he would have made that play, what type of momentum would have carried them into week 2? They just got to shake it off, get back to the drawing board, and start making play. I would say hand Derrick Henry the ball more.
Yeah. So in terms of the offseason with the Patriots, I know you were briefly there with the Bill Belichick thing at the beginning of your career. You were talking about that, how he was in practice and him not getting a coaching job. Are you surprised at that kind of thing?
Not really. I mean, we're in a new age, and I think more organizations want to run with the younger, cooler type that doesn't, demand, more control of their system. So it doesn't surprise me. Bill is definitely one of the greatest to ever do it. And I think guys are just outgrowing the old way, if that makes sense.
And it's so crazy. And by the way, we are talking to former Jaguars, Broncos, Cowboys defensive lineman Jermaine Mincey, friend of the show, doing big things on the side, making movies, production. I mean, the guy's killing it. He's making the mucho dinero, as we all know.
By the way, it was most recent video, the one you texted me on Friday, Jeremy.
There you go. I love it.
Oh, wow.
Stop showing off, man. Stop showing off.
How you like my editing?
The Mincey family. Why am I not invited to this wonderful show on YouTube? I want to be a part of one of these episodes. Have me in the background. I'll be doing it. I'll be doing this. Mincey. Hey.
I would definitely love to, man. Listen. I'm making it like everything has a story to tell. You know what I mean? And whatever way you convey the story, that's the beauty in the whole process, because a lot of that footage is raw and real. All these things actually happened. It wasn't, predetermined. It wasn't pre-prepared. It was just things that was happening amongst it, the reactions and everything. And all I did was just film my kids' reaction to how they felt about the situation and pieced it together.
Yeah, I piece a lot of things together, my friend. And if anybody followed me with a camera, you would have to pop a lot of popcorn and enjoy yourself, because there's a lot of crazy things that happen. If you went to Florida with me for the couple of days that I was down there, I guarantee you wouldn't have stopped laughing. And I haven't even spoken about some of the crazy things that I dealt with down in Florida for 5 days. But that's a whole nother story. We're not here to speak about me. We're here to talk about the Mincey family. But anyways, going back to the Patriots and what obviously Bill Belichick is doing right now, and he's sitting home enjoying himself, hanging out with a 23-year-old woman. I mean, he's enjoying himself, wetting his Oscar wiener or whatever the hell he's doing over there. I mean, he's definitely not hanging out with Robert Kraft, that's for sure. And maybe if he is, they're definitely not going to be hanging out over there. They'll be hanging out one of those massage parlors. But anyways, the Patriots are now heading to MetLife Stadium against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Big game tomorrow. This could really settle who's going to be in first place at the end of week 3. What do you think the Jets need to do against Mr. Mayo and his cram defense that has played very well throughout the last 2 weeks?
Let Aaron Rodgers do what he do. Let him do what he do. Open up the playbook and just let him play and let him get back acclimated and confident into his playmaking ability. You've seen the plays he was making, and it looked like he's getting back to his old form. So, Coach, just let him play, baby.
Let him play. How about we hire you as the assistant coach on the bench, because the garbage that they have over there with Bambi. I mean, I don't know if you know what Robert Saleh's new nickname is. I gave it to him. Yours truly, Bambi Saleh. Okay. Yeah, he's a deer in the headlights when he's over there on the sidelines. He's better off keeping his head between his legs than actually looking at the field, because he has absolutely no idea what he's doing. Maybe his dingleberries will give him some answers. I don't know. That's just me.
I'm sure Jeremy doesn't want to hear that after what he had to deal with the last time he was on the show when you put the thing on your balls.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's
Jeremy. Do you remember that? Yeah, Errol had to do that there.
Yes,
By the
man.
way,
Crazy,
bro,
man.
10
Madness.
minutes, baby. 10 minutes. Who's going to put Ben Gay on their balls for 10 minutes? Yours
Madness.
truly. Yours truly. And the myth, the legend. And I'm not Bambi. Okay. Just so you know.
I'm sure Jeremy doesn't want to think about that again.
Boy, oh boy, I don't want to think about that again either. My face turned purple and I was sweating all over parts of my body you couldn't even imagine. Okay. Ooh-wee right there, man. It tells you not to put anything on your scrotum. Boy, oh boy, I took like 9 showers that night. Oh my God, I was dipping for, I was dipping for some cheese, if you know what I mean.
Oh man.
So going from his balls to busting somebody's balls. Tom Brady.
So your balls had to absorb all that.
Oh,
Your
did they ever absorb?
Yeah.
They absorbed something, man. I'm going to tell you this right now. I've never been in I've been through so much pain before. I have never been in so much pain in my life. Let me tell you something. Stay away from the Bengay on your balls. Do not do that. I'm going to tell you this right now. And for shame on the Guinness Book of World Record, they wanted me to do it again. That's what Speedy said. They want me to do it again in front of them for 10 minutes. Get lost. I will never do that again. I have enough to say that I did it. My face was purple. I don't need it to be purple, blue, or my balls to fall off. So thank you, but no thank you to the Guinness Book of Fake Records.
Sorry. Speaking of busting balls, Tom Brady, who had a roast in the offseason, probably 2 months after we had you on, he had that big roast. A lot of people taking shots at him. Did you see that? And what were your thoughts of that?
Hilarious. they were coming down on him hard, wasn't it?
Boy, they were. But I'll tell you this, Randy Moss, do not do that again. I mean, as a stand-up comedian, Randy Moss was the worst. I mean, he was laughing at his jokes. I had no idea what he was talking about half the time. I was like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. What were you drinking before you actually went on stage? I mean, I love Randy. I think he's got a great personality. But as far as a jokester personality, stay away from that. Don't ever do that again.
How did the chicken cross the road?
Could you imagine that? Talking about nursery rhymes that we heard when we were kids? I mean, come on. You were horrible. Randy, you were, by the way, Bill Belichick, he was hilarious. That was, I never realized how funny Bill Belichick was until I watched that.
Jeremy tried to warn us the first time we had him on the show.
Oh, yeah, he's very funny, man. Stiff, dry, but funny.
Maybe that's how he got a 23-year-old.
Probably is. Bill got game, baby.
Boy, he's got something. I mean, he's got mail.
He's right. He's right. He's calling all the right plays.
Oh, he better be calling the right plays. Hopefully, he has a lot of Viagra for those plays. Where's the blue pill? Where's the blue pill?
Don't tell Deshaun Watson.
Well, Deshaun doesn't need a blue pill, but if he does, there's something wrong.
He just want old Bill to fill the D gap, you know.
Oh, he's definitely not handcrafted. Oh man, we are talking to former Jaguars, Broncos, and Cowboys defensive lineman Jeremy Mincey. You know, Jeremy, you watched the NFL season, and everybody was talking about how the defense played last year, how it changed the game, and everybody was like, the NFL wants to make the game more offensively sound. But over even the first 2 games of the season, has it really been offensively sound? It's been more defense. There really hasn't been a lot of points. I am very surprised with all the rule changes, the kickoff rule, and all this other stuff, that you would have thought that it would have exploded, but it hasn't really in the first 2 weeks. Do you think with these new rules, do we see it picking up in the offense really transition to what the NFL thought it was going to be this year?
I mean, you know, it's like everything else. It just takes time for everybody to adjust. I can honestly say that, but I hate the kickoff. I think it's like that's one thing that puts the defense at a disadvantage. You know, you take one cut and then, you know, everybody as out of pursuit angles, and it just, I don't know. It just seems like a defensive liability to me.
So what about the hip drop tackle? That was another thing that was banned this offseason. Now Joe Mixon got hurt, and he's complaining, oh, they're still not even implementing it right. So what are your thoughts on that new rule? And
I think that's crap, man. I think get the man down the best way you can. You know, like, I mean, it's hard enough already just to even play at that elite level. Like, everything you're doing is by every fiber in your body is trying to make a play. Like, people are not thinking, oh, let me get in the right position to do this. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of this stuff is ludicrous, you know, and I seen a hit. I forgot what game it was, but the guy, he led with his shoulder, and the guy was going to run him over. He just happened to get lower than the guy and leveled him, and they gave a penalty. And I'm like, dude, what is he supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, shoestring tackle him and let him run by and grab him by the legs like Pop Warner? No, man. Like, you got to let him play, man. Like, these rules are really like, you know, I'm not a big fan.
Well, you mentioned Ludacris. You got the perfect song for that. Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way. I mean, come on. You know that. You know that riff. I mean, come on. I mean, that would be perfect. You mentioned Ludacris. That is perfect for all of us. So we should use that track every single time Joe Mixon is crying about, you know, getting hit under his knees, his legs. Oh, my God. He hit me. This is football.
Two games with Stephon Diggs, and he's already complaining.
This is football. I mean, come on. I mean, the guy's 210, 215 pounds. He's complaining that he's getting hit below the knees. It's ridiculous.
It's 2 games with Stephon Diggs. He's already complaining.
It's despicable. You know what's really been cool to watch is Josh Allen. Okay, Jeremy, and everybody's been taking shots at this guy all off season. Every single time you hear he's on GQ, Jalen Ramsey, before he even stepped on a football field, making fun of him, saying that he's a bitch, that he's not ever going to make it in the NFL. He's a pretty boy. It's never going to work. And then how many people this past off season, Stephon Diggs taking shots at him, you're going to see all this and all that he's not a leader. He's not this. He's not that. Well, guess what? Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are 2-0, and right now, the points for right now, they lead the AFC points for. I think they lead the whole NFL in points for. I think the only team that has more points right now is the Saints. The Bills are second right now. They're the best offensive team right now in the AFC, and probably one of the top 3 in the AFC when it comes to defense. Are you surprised that Josh Allen is shutting people up? And right now, do you think Josh Allen is the MVP of the league?
Yeah, so far, Josh Allen's playing lights out, and most importantly, he's leading his team like a true veteran leader. I mean, so many people clowned this guy and ridiculed him and had Joe Burrow over him, but Burrow is no Josh, man. he's no JA, man. So he's killing it right now, man. Kudos to the Buffalo Bills, man. They definitely got something going.
So I see you're wearing a Florida Gators shirt. They're not doing too well this season. A lot of people want their coach fired or bought out or whatever it is. It's been a tough time after this.
What are you trying to make him throw up or something?
So what are your thoughts to everything
going
going on?
He's about to cry.
And how would you fix it if you were the AD over there?
I mean, we keep screaming rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. I think what should have happened was he should have had the kid to start now as a starter from the beginning of training camp. He was always better, than the other guy. And what's his last name? Langway,
yeah.
Lagway. This kid's special, man. I think, once the defense get in sync with each other and they find out different ways to win, I just think they got to beat that big opponent, get that one win to get some confidence in them. Because, they have the talent. It's just, they don't look like they're in tune with each other, and they don't. It's like everybody out for self, and you could kind of see it on tape. And that's what's happening right now.
All right, so who's the leader in the family? All right, and now let's get into the whole family life. Obviously you're the man, but you got a wife, you got kids. who says what goes in that house?
Me, but
I don't want to
no,
get you in trouble. Your wife better not be
no,
watching this.
no. It's me. You know, my wife trusted my my judgment as being the leader of the household, but she is the most valuable role. I mean, she gets, when I have to take my son to football practice, she gets both of the girls to training. And by the time training's done, she has the food on the stove so they can eat and get some rest. So she's definitely the dictator, in all honesty. But we lead together, honestly, man, and we just try to keep the kids motivated and stay focused and dedicated.
So I want to talk about your episode now that we're watching on this screen. Like, what are some of the experiences like you went in discussing that kind of thing? You coaching as well, you getting involved with the kids, and the production and the interview part of it too. What was the whole thing like for you?
Oh man, it was awesome. I directed it. I put those questions together to ask to extract uh, the right content to go with each episode, and it was just a beautiful process. Actually, genuinely watching my kids grow up on camera and being there through every play, every failure, every success. I think that's what really makes this show incredible, especially for kids who don't understand. Also, we're enlightening a lot of people on the process of AAU ball, because they would say, oh well, you jump from team to team. No, it's not like that. We're just going a level up, finding our way, because the girls was growing so fast. And 2 years ago they could barely dribble. Now they can put the ball behind their back and shoot threes and stuff like. So it's just an amazing amount of growth in such short amount of time, and that's what we're really exploiting. Just whatever you do, kiddo, just stay consistent, stay working at it, stay believing in yourself, and you'll be called to be on a part of a lot of these major camps they've gotten invited to, and do those great things too. So it's just inspiration.
That's good. I'm not a dad yet, and hopefully, when I do become a father, I can give the inspiration that if my kids want to play basketball, they want to play football, baseball, hockey, that I'll support any decision that they make, and make sure that they get the right training and the right push to become as great as they want to be. We are talking to former Jaguars, Broncos, Cowboys defensive lineman Jeremy Mincey, friend of the show. We love him, doing some big things. He has a YouTube channel. He's got a new show, the Mincey family, doing a lot of great things. Speaking of basketball, the WNBA is growing right now, and Caitlin Clark has really brought a different look to the WNBA. And a lot of these girls right now are jealous. Right now in the WNBA, there's so many people putting her down. She's quiet. She goes out there. She plays her game. She doesn't really attack anything anybody is saying outside of the game of basketball. And she just goes out there and plays the game, and she plays it so well. And you look at her in the second half of the season, she's been the best player, really transitioning. She's the woman Steph Curry right now with the WNBA. She's really bringing the WNBA shoe deals, new endorsements, TV deals, $1 billion, TV deal that they just got, and women are just attacking her. Why do you believe that all these women that want, the cameras on them, and they finally have it because of Caitlin Clark, are so jealous of Caitlin Clark?
It's just, you got to look at it like this. You got Aja Wilson, who's been in the game for so long, and she's been stellar. Like, she's won championship after championship, and she has not got the recognition Caitlin Clark has, but she has the accolades. So from that standpoint of it, you can kind of see why Teresi and certain vets are kind of jealous, because they put their life on the line for that. And they're comparing that to a college student who just, had the hyper run, which is a phenomenal player. She deserves everything, absolutely. But from a veteran standpoint, she's getting all the bells and whistles, and they kind of laid the foundation. So, I think it's just, I just think it's one of those things that they'll get over and they'll appreciate her later once they get all the perks from what she brings to the WNBA. So it's
So what
just
are your
one of those things. Us vets, I was mad. Think about it. I mean, wouldn't you be mad if you led a team in sacks and you was their MVP and then they signed Greg Hardy and give him $13 million and then don't want to give you $500K?
I understand that, but again, it's not Caitlin Clark's fault that
No, definitely not.
nobody, she's just playing her game. She's doing everything that she's supposed to do, and she's getting all the accolades. That's not her fault. So why is everybody attacking her? She didn't do nothing wrong. If she wasn't good, then you can attack her. Why is she getting the shootout? She's been unbelievable in the
Yes,
second.
she has. Yes,
She's
she has.
been outstanding.
Yes, she
How
has.
many players have we ever seen do this before?
Yes, she has. And like I said, it's just one of those things that they'll get over it. They eventually get over it because they understand how it benefits all. So, and then they women, man. Women gonna be mad at women.
We all know that. Yes.
So,
You're gonna get yourself into trouble now, Jeremy.
it's kind of in their nature.
Be careful, man. Your woman might be listening. You have daughters. They're gonna be like, "Pops, what are you talking about?"
They know they can get emotional, but that's why Dad's here to mix the logic with the emotions. Add
I
a
have a lot of logic and
sprinkle a
emotion.
little more logic in there than emotion.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on it from the Olympic perspective, keeping Clark and Reese off the team in the Olympics as well?
I think Clark and Reese should have been on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think for one, it just would have brought so many more ticket sales. It would have formed an alliance with the youth and the veterans. So I understand that they wanted certain type of mindsets because when you play in the Olympics, it is another level. But at the same time, I think it's just two girls. It wasn't like half of the team or nothing like that. You should have just went on and let them come in and help make a difference. And they would have contributed because they're dominating in their own rightful positions anyway. So, I don't think it would have been a drop off.
Well, the Olympics hate me, by the way, Jeremy, because I did have an Instagram with my own name. I don't use it. Only friends and family followed me. And because Speedy posted up something I said about the Olympics and the whole situation with Caitlin Clark, they froze my account and completely got rid of my Instagram because yeah.
Wow, I had something like that happen to me, man. Like my official Instagram's gone because I disagreed with a guy. Like it's crazy, like how they could just take everything you work for to build away all because somebody pressed a button that I don't know. It's crazy, man. I know how you feel about that. That sucks.
Yeah, well, the Olympics didn't really look very good throughout the Olympics, okay, for some of the crap that you saw. And I'm not going to mention, I'm sure everybody that watched the Olympics throughout this year for the 2 weeks of garbage that they were trying to promote was just despicable. That's all I'm going to say. I don't need the Olympics to tell me anything that everybody didn't see, okay? That's just my opinion. Anyways, Jeremy, we love you. You are fantastic. And I'm going to tell you something. You have a show, and when you're doing episodes, you should be thinking about bringing us on. Listen, I could do some background stuff. I have personality too. I mean, if you follow the camera around me, I'd probably have people dying laughing because they're
I can believe that. And
I
would love to. I would love.
We need to talk. We need to talk offset.
I would love that.
I mean, you're a director. I mean, come on, man. We could really put something together here. And I could get myself into a lot of trouble, but that's what I do all the time anyways here in New York is get myself into trouble, but in funny ways. So there is definitely, I was in Florida. I could have gotten a lot of footage of that crap that I was dealing with. I'll tell you a funny story before I let you go. So me and Brittany, my girlfriend, we went to Walmart before we went to her father's house. We stopped at Walmart to get some food. You don't want to go empty handed to somebody's house. Okay. So we're pulling into Walmart, all right? And we're waiting for this person to move out of the spot. The person moves, and all of a sudden, this guy pulls right into the spot. He sees us waiting. I have the blinkers on. He pulls into the spot. So my girlfriend tells me, You're not going to say anything, blah, 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 blah. And I told her, I said, yeah, I'm going to say something, but I'm not going to say something when you can actually hold in Florida. God forbid I go over there to the car and I say something stupid to him. He pulls out a gun and shoots me. So I wasn't going to do that. So we waited. We went into the Walmart, and I said, we're bound to bump into these guys. We're bound to bump into them. So we're walking and everything like that. And she spotted them. She spotted him. She's like, there they are. Go say something to them. I walked up to this guy right now. I was wearing a wife beater. I'm a pretty big guy. Okay. I'm wearing a wife beater. And I walk up to this guy and I said, excuse me. And he looks back and he looks down and he looks up like one of those movies, man. It was so funny. I could tell, she's laughing. She sees what's going on behind me. And I say, you took my car spot. You know that? You did see me have my blinkers on. Did you not see me? And his friend comes right behind him and say, what's going on here? I said, he looks at me too. And I was like, this, you two guys, you fucking stole my, my spot. What's up with that?
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, listen, no problem. I just wanted to go up to you. I just want to let you know that I saw what you did. And I just wanted to make sure that you saw what you did. And I walked away and she walked with me and she started laughing. She's like, I could tell he was scared. He looked at you. He was afraid. He didn't even know what to say to you when you walked up to him. And I didn't even care. That had nothing to do with it. But if you saw his face turned bright white. Okay. He was like a Dominican. He turned white, dude. Jeremy, it was so funny. If I had a video camera on it, you would have laughed your ass off. His face just he looked from my feet up. And as soon as he looked at me, he stepped back. He thought I was gonna beat him up or something.
He thought he seen the devil, man.
He thought he saw the devil. I got tattoos all over my body. You know what I mean? I got tattoos. I'm not gonna brag. I'm 220 pounds. I'm not a small guy. And he was shocked that I walked up to him. He was just shocked. I knew he knew that I saw him do it. You know what I mean? But he tried to play like he didn't know. He's sorry, I'm sorry, I apologize. And then his buddy comes right behind him and he looks up too. He's like, oh yeah, we're sorry. And I walk away. But it was funny. If you were there and you actually saw their faces, it was one of the funniest things you ever see. I tried to be straight and I walked away and she's laughing. She was laughing. I wasn't. He was. So that was just one thing. But there was a lot of crazy things that happened. I almost got into like 3 freaking accidents. Nobody in Florida knows how to drive. Nobody there knows how to drive.
Don't play around in Florida.
Oh my God. They don't use blinkers. And they stop in the middle of the highway and they'll start speeding and then they'll slow down just as fast. It was horrible. But listen, it is what it is. It's a whole nother story. Jeremy, we love you. Let's talk, man. Let's talk Offset, man.
Okay, say less, man. Anytime, man. Anytime you guys need me, man. You know how we rock.
I know how you rock, man. You rock with some hits. You rock with some shows, directing. I mean, come on, man. What's next? So what's the next Pixel movie? You did say that I'd be a voice of a Pixel character.
You'd be a great voiceover.
Well, there you go, man.
They need to cast you in Angry Birds.
Angry Birds. I would be funny. What bird would I be?
The one that gets mad and turned into fire.
Perfect.
Son of a bitch!
Shut down, bastard!
The Angry Birds depiction of a Jets fan.
It'll be green. I'll be
green flames.
Gangrene. My feathers falling off. I'll be stripped to the bottom of my feather. The only thing I'll have is something hanging from the bottom. Anyways, Jeremy, we love you, man.
Hey, love y'all, man. Much love, man. Thanks for having me, as always.
We love you, Jeremy. Jeremy Mincey, fantastic as always. We have to talk Offset, Speedy. And Speedy, you didn't give me what's his name again's information. I was gonna go out there in Florida. I was gonna go check out his batting range and stuff like that. Jason, right? Or was it Jason? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's on.
What do you?
I messaged him on your Twitter.
Well, you didn't. I didn't see it. You should have given me his number. I was out there. I was hanging up. I was pretty busy, anyways. I didn't have a chance to even do anything. Everything started going like haywire when we were going out to Homasa. That's what it was. Our father lives in Homasa. It's like Homomasa. There you go. What a name, ladies and gentlemen. Homomasa. Anyways, Jeremy, we love you. We'll talk to you very soon.
All right, guys. Salute, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of your night, man.
Absolutely. We love him. He's fantastic. Always.
And now, now he has a movie idea for you. Angry Birds.
I had Angry
Jets
Birds.
Fan Edition.
Could you imagine me on Angry Birds?
And then you would be the Angry Bird with the green flame launching it and a bunch of Bambies.
I love his style. I mean, look at it. Look at his hat. He's got the like. He's dressed to impress, man. I mean, he's wearing his he's wearing his nice striped shirts. He's wearing his backwards hat, the glasses. I mean, who's better than Jeremy Mincey? I mean, seriously, he's rocking it and he's in charge. He's doing great things on YouTube too, man. I love it. I love everything that he does. Every time he comes on the show, he brightens up everything. So we really appreciate the time as always. And all the time that he gives us, because he's a busy guy. He's a director. He does so many things, man. I mean, it's crazy. You know who's doing a lot of things? I'm going to tell you who's doing a lot of things. I am going to tell you he's doing a lot of wrong things, and that's Deion Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. Said in his press conference yesterday that 2 reporters and the media are jealous of college football players making money. He added that they never attacked college players as extreme as they do now, and that it is because they have envy. Stephen A. Smith defended Deion's comments, saying that he wasn't attacking all reporters. ESPN's Paul Feinbaum attacked Deion, saying that he said something that was never true about college football media. There was also a lot of controversy with Shedeur Sanders not shaking his hands with Colorado State quarterback Braden Fowler after Saturday's game. Fowler said the hype and the media train of Shedeur can only get you so far. Of the 34 players with NIL deals over $1 million, three players are on Colorado, with Travis Hunter and both Deion Sanders' sons. So it's not blind to see what's going on with Deion Sanders. And he compares, or he expresses his love to Travis Hunter. As a matter of fact, he says that Travis Hunter is as good a son as any one of his sons that are playing on his team. Why does he accept Travis Hunter as one of his sons? Because he's a superstar. That he compares Travis Hunter not only to him to be better than he was as a player at his age. Deion Sanders is 100% right about what he is saying about the press and everybody, reporters and even coaches, about what these players are making. 100%. They're jealous that they're making money and they're bringing in money, and they think that these players should not be bringing in millions and millions of dollars. I agree with Deion Sanders 120%. I agree with him that these players should have been making money for years. Now, with the league and what the NCAA and what, obviously what the NCAA is trying to do now is trying to figure out how to control the money that are going to these players. Obviously, with the endorsements that they're getting and the advertisements that they're getting through, obviously, the way they play the game on the football field, it's great that these players are making money. Johnny Manziel was bringing in money for selling autographs and selling jerseys, and he was doing it illegally. Now players could do that. They can actually go to signings and sports card signings and sign sports cards and make money off of that. The problem is that it's not just these 3 players that are stars on their team. They stand out because obviously Travis Hunter is one of the best 2-way players in the league in college football, and probably one of the best 2-way players we've ever seen. And then obviously Shedeur Sanders is expected to be a first-round draft pick because of who his father is. And his other son is a pretty good defensive player. Not a great defensive player, but a pretty good defensive player. I think he's a safety, if I'm not mistaken.
Hybrid corner safety,
yes.
Yeah.
So I could understand why Fowler came out and took shots at Shedeur Sanders. Now, I agree completely with Fowler. And the reason why is Braden Fowler actually went and tried to shake Shedeur Sanders' hands. Shedeur Sanders made it every every way possible not to go out there and present his hand out like any quarterback would do after the game. And to me, it shows bad sportsmanship. And Shedeur Sanders is predicated. He's the face of Colorado and Colorado State football. He is the face. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. Deion Sanders can't be just the face of this organization and what the school is doing. Shedeur Sanders has to be the face. He is the star quarterback. He is, quote-unquote, the franchise. So he should be going out there at the end of the game, win or lose, and shake whoever's hand or whatever quarterback he's playing against, no matter how well he played or how much he hates the other quarterback. That shows bad sportsmanship. As far as Deion Sanders is concerned about college football and the media doesn't like him. Why doesn't the media like him? Because of what he says on and off the field. And this isn't the first time that obviously Deion Sanders is taking shots at the media. Okay, he's been doing it for the last couple of years. Even when he was at Jackson State, he was attacking the media. They had a documentary following him around with their cameras on Jackson State. I think it was on Prime, if I'm not mistaken, or Apple, whatever, one of those channels. He was doing it, and they followed him. They're still doing it with Colorado State. He loves being center stage. He loves being on camera. So if you love being on camera and you love going out there and speaking to the media and saying what you really feel, well, you have to take the smacks. And you can't handle the smacks. When the media comes at you because you have won how many games in the last 2 years? You've won 4 games or 5 games in 2 seasons. That tells me that you can't handle the attacks from the media. If you're going to go out there and say that you're the best and you got this and you got that and you're this and you're that and you can't do it on the field, of course the media is going to attack you. Of course the media is going to say what they feel about you. And your sons are center stage of it. You know why? Because your son is expected to be a first-round talent. Is he not? And honest to God, even though his numbers show that he could be a first-round draft pick, he's played nobody. He's beaten nobody in the first 3 weeks of his NCAA final year season. Okay, this is his final year. This is his senior year, and he has done nothing. He's beaten nobody. When he goes out and plays a top 10 team and beats them and puts up 350 yards, then come and see me. But you're not the player that you think you are, going out there and playing second-tier quarterbacks in different conferences that nobody even knows about.
Yeah, even regardless of the skill set of Shedeur Sanders, like the leadership traits are continuing to dwindle down, where you're not trusting him to be able to hold accountability for himself, where he's blaming his offensive line we were talking about last week. Now he's not shaking another quarterback's hand just because he made a comment about you. Yeah, you're one of the most famous guys in college football with all these likes and stuff like that. Yeah, own up to that. Embrace the fact that you won. Shake hands with the other quarterback. That's not hard to do. And then he's doing all the
Who's he beaten? Who's he beaten?
Yeah, no, he's only beaten Colorado State. That's the first win of the season that they got.
And who's Colorado State? Where are they ranked?
Mountain West team. No, they're not
where they're ranked. They're not even ranked.
They're not ranked.
Okay? He's won 1 game, and they're not even ranked. Not even ranked.
And they almost beat him last year, too.
Not even ranked. And he's out there not shaking somebody's hand because he said something about you? Come on, man. What are you going to do in the NFL? What are you going to do in the NFL? You have professional athletes. You have men. You're the leader of that offense. That means those offensive linemen, are they going to follow you around? Are you going to do what your brother did and you're going to claim bankruptcy? I mean, every single year, you're supposed to go out and spend some money on your offensive linemen and take care of them and make sure you're looking out for them. Are you going to say, you know what? I'm not spending my money on these guys. I'm the star. I'm the big guy. I mean, Geno Smith did that. Where did that get him? A broken jaw. That's what it got him.
Yeah, and again, regardless of his traits as a quarterback, which still can be perceived as good, because I think he does have some good traits. But even so, like we were talking about it, like
you think he's a first-round draft pick?
I don't think he should be, but I think he could be just on his name. I would not, based on the leadership traits, trust him as an NFL quarterback whatsoever, because he was isolating players away from college. We were talking about it about 3 months ago. Like that's why a lot of those kids had to transfer. Like they were taking shots at him because he didn't care about certain players. And that's a bad look in itself. Now going to Deion's comments, this makes the most sense about the most logical things he said this offseason, because everything else has just been asinine.
Stephen A. Smith, and we all know he's like a butt fetish of Deion Sanders, just like he does it with Floyd Mayweather. When Floyd Mayweather, everybody was stacking Floyd Mayweather. Who did he beat? Who did he fight in their prime of their careers? And he was out there. Floyd's the best. This, that. And Stephen A. Smith, he's a star. He's the face of ESPN and First Take. Great for him. If he says something, does that mean that it's right?
No.
It doesn't mean that it's right. And of course he's going to stick up for Deion because him and Deion are butt buddies.
Right, of course. And I think as well, Deion Sanders does make a good point about, them overblowing the fact
one's going to grab one cheek, the other one's going to grab the other.
He is right.
Might as well. Maybe, Speedy, you grab one of their cheeks.
No, I'm not doing that.
You grab the left one.
I'm not grabbing anything.
You grab somebody's cheek. No. All right. We'll have Fish grab your cheek, and you can grab his.
Nobody's grabbing anything.
Show everybody what you can do when you grab cheeks. No cheeks? No grabbing?
No.
No cheek grabbing? No. Okay. All right.
But
I tried.
But going back to Deion Sanders' comments with the media, I think he's right to an extent about the players being questioned for making money. Now, I do think Paul Feinbaum is also right in the fact that it's not the only thing the college football media focuses on. They're always going to downplay a team that's either overrated or a storyline about like something like Florida or Florida State, like we were talking about a lot. Notre Dame, when they lost earlier this season against Northern Illinois, they were overblowing that kind of thing. And they'll decimate that more a lot than they will in terms of the fact that players are making money. They don't scrutinize players for making money as much as they're thinking. I think a lot of the college football reporters are younger. They're much more progressive, and they do agree with that. It's more of the coaches, like we talk about, the Dabo Sweeneys, the Lane Kiffins that are taking all these shots at players making NIL money and stuff like that. I don't think it's as much of the media all over the place. Deion's right. There's some of it, but not all of it. And that's where I think he has to stop being a distraction and make everything about himself again.
Yeah. Here's the thing. And again, I want to get Fish involved with this because he's a coach and he coaches high school football. And I'm sure he has his own thoughts, the great Deion Sanders, because Deion Sanders is just some of the outlandish things that he says on and off the field, irks me. And it kind of, he's not wrong about some of the things that he has said on this, especially saying that the media is jealous of them because they are. Why wouldn't they? These kids are 17, 16, 18 years old, and they're getting an NIL deals worth about $1 to $2 million. They're making more money than these guys have made in 2-3 years as media with the media credentials that they have as writers. They make pennies compared to what these players are making now. But guess what? They earned it. You earned to get a job after you graduated from college. You wanted to do communications. You wanted to be a writer. It's not their fault that you get paid pennies to $1 because you're writers for a no-name newspaper or magazine. Nobody gives a crap. Okay. The fact is, these players have a chance to make money for their families and obviously to stand out to help their friends and their family. That's fine. That's fine. They should have been getting that forever. The fact that they weren't says a lot about the NCAA because all these all these schools are bringing in money for all these guys, all these people that are getting college scholarships because of their academics. How are they paying for those college scholarships? Because of the football team, the basketball team, the lacrosse team. That's how they're getting the money, giving these guys full-fledged scholarships. And some of these kids are never even graduating. They just want to play in the NFL. They want to play professional lacrosse, or they want to play professional basketball. They don't give a crap. They just want to go out there, get their time on the field so they can step on on a basketball field, baseball field, or hockey ice, whatever, to make money for their families. So honestly, I agree with Deion on with that, but everything else that Deion has said, absolutely bogus, absolutely stupid, because this is Deion Sanders being Deion Sanders, being a head case, a nut job, and a guy that you just can't respect when you're trying to stand up for men. You talk about treating these players like men, and you don't want to go over there to the NFL, but then you have the balls to go out and say, hey, you know what? Even though I'm not interested in coaching an NFL team, I'm going to interview for NFL jobs. When you said you don't want to even be an NFL coach. So you lied about what you said because it's all about money, right? It's all about money. But then you tell your son, hey, you know what? There's no need for you to pay this guy. Even though you lost a court case, you permanently injured this security guard for $13 million, and he wins $13 million from your son, and this guy's going to make millions and millions of dollars probably as a football player. You're making millions and millions of dollars. You're going to tell your son to claim bankruptcy just so he can't get any of your money? That's despicable, and that's all I'm going to say about Deion Sanders.
At the high school level, they don't want circuses. The high schools, that's the last thing they want. There's not a single high school that exists that's looking for this. College, however, for some reason, they seem to entertain this. And Deion is the one that is bringing the circus to Colorado. It's on full display at this point. His son is being bandied about as being the top overall draft pick. But although it's kind of hard to see that other than, he's got the name and he's got the showy stuff that, teams like the Dallas Cowboys, where Deion's, made his name, that's what they love. So the real issue becomes this NIL and how players have more money than reporters, and reporters are jealous. But I think there's a third part of this that the reporters who are jealous don't realize is they're creating news for you and creating jobs for you. We talk about Deion all the time on this show. We talk about Colorado all the time on this show, even though they're a middling program at best. Why? Because he's creating news. He creates a news cycle. It's actually beneficial for the media. It's this everyone kind of scratches each other's back in a way. And as soon as these media people realize that, although maybe there are some people that don't even have an education, maybe not even taking real classes in Colorado, let's face it, that have a lot more money than they're ever going to see or not going to see for maybe a decade. They're creating work for you. They're creating more things for you to report on. You are going to make more money in the long run because of it economically. I think that's the one thing. The side thing is Deion's not staying at Colorado, though.
No.
There's zero chance he is going to stay there. And it is going to be the NFL where he tries to go because he want to coach his sons. You don't want to be there without his sons. He had the whole documentary series with his kids dating back to way back when. This is his journey with them to the NFL. It's going to be a show. It's going to be a circus. And it's going to be great ratings and very entertaining to watch, whether it fizzles in failure or they end up being great.
Oh, it's going to be a failure.
See.
It's going to be.
I mean, we think it might be a failure because of the character things.
I don't think
it's
going to be a failure. There's no look at what he's doing right now at Colorado State. Come on. Look what he's doing. I'm sorry, not Colorado State, at Colorado. Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. It's a joke. It's a joke. You're going to tell me everything you said about what you're going to do over there and bring Colorado to, out there to be a national championship team and be something to stand for, and all the fans and all the people, all the kids that are going to watch football games, you're going to want to go and watch those Colorado games? Really? What is there to look at? What is there to watch right now at Colorado? Nothing. There's nothing. Actually, there's more laughter than anything to watch. I mean, Deion Sanders, I like his white beard and his white hair more than I care for watching him on the sidelines call a play. I mean, honestly, Deion's one of the greatest defensive backs we've ever seen. There's no argument to that, and nobody can take away his superstardom on a football field. But as a head coach, what has he done? Because he coached at Jackson State. Jackson State? What the hell is Jackson State? Then he goes to Colorado. He's not even playing in the SEC. He's not playing against these top programs, and he stands for this. Who did he beat that was any good as far as a top program? Honestly.
He got his best chance last week, and then they got blown out by 35-10 or something to the great Matt Rule.
I mean, honestly, he hasn't beaten a real top program since he's taken over Colorado. So I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear about, oh, this and oh, that, and my sons and my this and my that, and, oh, Hunter's the best player I've seen since myself. I mean, I don't want to hear it. Let's see Hunter go to the NFL and become the star that everybody thinks he's going to become. Then we could start talking about what Hunter is. We all know what Shedeur Sanders is going to be in the NFL. An absolute bust. And he's not you. He'll never be you. So stop trying to compare his skills and his athleticism to you. Because he's not you. And I'm tired of hearing it. Honest to God, I don't want to hear it anymore about Shedeur Sanders and what he's going to be in the NFL. Because I've already seen what he could do in college football. And I'm tired of it. He's beaten nobody. He's not every good defense that he's played against, he's been a joke. Last season, the top 3 defenses he played against. The top 3. Remember when he played Oregon? Remember that? Oh, yeah. How good was he in that game? Ugh. What did Dan Lanning do to him in that game? I mean, seriously. I mean, come on. Let him go and play Alabama. Let him go play Georgia. Let him go play the top SEC schools and see how he does. Let's see what he does. Because I'll tell you this. Say whatever you want about some of these quarterbacks that go into the NFL. They played against top teams. Bryce Young, say whatever you want. Bryce Young played against the top SEC teams in the country for 2 years, 3 years.
And won a Heisman.
What the hell did Shedeur Sanders do? Nothing. He's beaten nobody. But his father says he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because Deion Sanders says it is. That's why it is. Get out of here. And Stephen A., please stop kissing his ass. You want to get on your hands and knees and kiss his ass? Pull his panties down. Speedy will help you.
No, I won't. But I'm sure Stephen A. Smith will help with that NIL deal.
Hold your legs down, all right?
I'm not involved, but I'm sure Stephen A. Smith will want to help with Shador's NIL deal.
I don't know. I don't know if Stephen A. Smith is needed. I mean,
It probably isn't, but knowing him, he'll probably do it.
I mean, everybody's preached this guy to be like something like Arch Manning. I mean, Arch Manning, we already know what this kid's going to be, okay? His uncles were that. His grandfather was that. His father was a great, wide receiver, probably more talented than his brothers were before he hurt his back problem.
Yeah.
Okay, we already know what Arch Manning is going to be. When he steps on it, he can run and he can throw. Okay. So he's better than his uncles were at the time that he is, right now at his time over there at Texas. I am going to tell you this right now. I already could predict what he's going to be. I'm going to tell you right now what I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be. He'll be a first-round draft pick. No question that he will. He'll be a top 10 pick. No question. Whoever drafts him in 2 years is going to be looking for a new quarterback. You can book it and sell it however way you want it. That kid is Zach Wilson-esque, period. And Zach Wilson actually beat pretty good schools. I mean, he actually beat better schools than Shedeur Sanders has. And he has more wins than Shedeur Sanders had in one season in his 2. So I rest my case. Sold to the guy in the corner playing with himself. Right, Speedy?
Anyone want to auction for Shedeur Sanders and Zach Wilson might have another thing coming.
There you go. I mean, what are your thoughts, Fish? Do you disagree or agree with any one of the things that I said besides, hanging out in the corner?
Well, as far as the hanging out in the corner, I'm not going to say that's going on, but I'll tell you this: Shedeur Sanders going first overall is a possibility in today's NFL. It's a possibility. Now, I made a bet with Keith, I believe, a week or two ago.
He'll go to the Giants
if he doesn't. I'm telling you, there's no way Mara takes him. But they got that he won't go top 5. And the only thing that Keith would have to do is actually talk about what we're talking about on the show when he calls in. So I still think Shedeur Sanders is probably not caliber guy that you want to take number 1 overall. But the year, Baker Mayfield was taken number 1 overall. No, they weren't saying that about him at the beginning of the year. You don't know. The guys could rise up. He could be, he could really improve some of his decision making out there while he's on the run and protect the ball a little better than he did last year. And, have enough stats because he is 4th in passing in NCAA right now, at least yards, that he can be compile enough to make it look good. Even though we know he's not playing any defenses that are worth a damn. So it's one of those things where teams may take a chance on him. I really don't want it to be the Giants. I'll tell you that right now.
I hope it is the Giants. It'd be funny. I would love to watch him play for the Giants. And that's something that Joe Shane would do if he's still there. That would be so fitting to watch Joe Shane draft Shedeur Sanders as the number 3 and number 4 pick, or even the number 2 pick. That would be great. I'd have something to laugh about. That's for sure.
We should reenact how that conversation with Mara would go because we already saw it in Hard Knocks. They go, yeah, we could just lose Saquon. Yeah, it's not a big deal. We're fine.
Yeah, you saw him walk out. You see how angry he was?
Can you imagine how he would have to convince him? Oh, yeah, Shedeur Sanders, great family. Great track record.
I will
no
say
character
this.
issues.
John Mara was very happy when Saquon dropped that ball on Monday Night Football. I'm sure he was. See, that's why
I'm not going to lie. I left.
I'm sure you did. I felt bad. I did. Because that's not his fault. Everybody's going to blame Saquon. They were still winning that game. They were still in a lead. The fact that he didn't run it in, they should have never let Atlanta take the ball all the way down the field. That was terrible coaching. Terrible.
They couldn't stop him.
And Kellen Moore, oh my God, he is a horrible offensive coordinator. He is tremendously stupid at some of the play calling in that game. Oh my God. In the third quarter, some of the play calls, I don't know if you guys watched the whole game. It was horrible. There was like 5 minutes left and the Eagles had the ball and he kept running the ball with Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's putting Jalen Hurts at risk every single time he runs the ball. And he's just, go ahead, run the ball. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah. Look what he did with Dak Prescott. Jesus Christ. Who's the offensive coordinator when Dak Prescott hurt his leg? Kellen Moore.
You know, I always thought Kellen Moore's biggest issue was he gets stuck on repeat, where like he just gets stuck running the same, plays. He's like, oh, this play worked last time. We'll do it every time till it works. Doesn't work anymore. Well, don't do that with quarterback run. What are you doing, Kellen? That's not in the NFL, at least. I mean, maybe a Don Bosco prep, in Tommy DeVito back in the day, they could have got away with that.
Tommy, wonderful. We'll bring up Tommy DeVito. When the going gets tough, bring Mr. Money Man himself, who hangs out in the Hamptons trying to pick up girls. Can't find anything but his hands when he goes to bed. Anyways, the Chiefs place Isaiah Pacheco on the injured reserve with a fibular injury and is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. The Chiefs brought back Kareem Hunt, who played with them from 2017 to 2019. The Colts placed Pro Bowl defensive tackle DeForest Buckner on injured reserve with an ankle injury. The 49ers placed Deebo Samuel on the injured reserve with a calf injury, not surprised, after officially placing Christian McCaffrey on the injured reserve on Saturday. The Rams placed Cooper Kupp on the injured reserve with an ankle injury a week after losing Puka Nacua with a sprained PCL. CJ Mosley is unlikely to play on Thursday night against the Patriots, but the Jets say it is just a toe injury and not a foot injury. A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson both suffered injuries in week 2, but both are expected to play for week 3. I wonder why all these injuries are happening. I would say it's the field, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're watching the games, but every single NFL field is turf besides the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let me ask you a question. How many injuries has the Pittsburgh Steelers got over the last for 2 weeks? Not many. I mean, they're pretty damn healthy right now. I wonder why. So I wonder what the NFL is trying to do here. Okay. They realize that the turf is causing so many foot injuries, ankle injuries, hamstring injuries, knee injuries, Achilles injuries. I mean, Jermaine Johnson, if that was on grass, Jermaine Johnson doesn't tear his Achilles. Did anybody watch that? His cleats got caught in the grass, in the turf. I don't know if anybody's watching this, but it's the turf. It has nothing to do with the players, their size, how fast they run, how fat the offensive linemen are, how fat the defensive linemen are, or how athletic they are. It means nothing. It is the turf. The turf is putting these players in harm's way. Did anybody see what happened to Christian McCaffrey? Did anybody watch that? Why do you think Christian McCaffrey has had foot problems really since last season? It's because guess where he plays? He plays with the 49ers. They have a new field, and it's all turf. It is turf. And by the way, they say the 49ers, they're not as bad as the MetLife Stadium, but they say they have one of the worst fields in the NFL. So Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, you have 2 superstar players. George Kittle's had problems with his ankles and his knees. Why do you think these guys have problems with all these problems with their feet and their ankles and their knees? It's because of the field. Isaiah Pacheco, did you watch that? That was a gruesome injury, by the way. I thought it was worse than it was. I thought his season was over when he practically got carried off the field. Okay? I don't understand the NFL. I don't understand what they're trying to do here. What is it going to take? Is it going to take A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, and all these guys, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua going down for the whole season for them to realize that it's the field problem and that they should just go out? They're making millions and billions and billions of dollars with these new TV deals. They keep complaining, and these owners keep complaining it's going to cost millions of dollars to change it back to grass. Who cares? You're bringing in 80,000 people to come and watch the game. That would probably pay off the field in one game. One game, it would pay off the field that you're going to fix and turn it into grass from turf. What is the problem here? Why doesn't the NFL see it for what it is? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's pathetic.
A lot of the
really
guys that were listed too are of home teams that are playing on newer stadiums as well. The Rams obviously they were playing on the road in Arizona this week, but Arizona was a field that was questioned with the Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs for having those bad injuries and causing Jalen Hurts to fumble and all that. And so there's been question marks there, obviously, too. And you look at, I think, besides the Packers and the Bears and the Steelers, like you said, I think even the Steelers have some kind of hybrid turf as well. So they're not even technically that. They're the only two natural grass fields fully. Now, that's where Buckner got hurt for the Colts, playing in Green Bay. And besides that, everything else is a modern era, either outdoor stadium like Jermaine Johnson playing in Tennessee, or these newer domes, the Rams, big newer dome. They want this big futuristic LA stadium. The Vikings had the new stadium too with Justin Jefferson. He's been hurt the last 2 years as well. So yeah, it's definitely something that has to get fixed. Also with the non-contact injuries. You were talking about Jermaine Johnson's cleat getting caught too. How about Dre Greenlaw in the Super Bowl, injuring himself trying to walk on the field in Vegas?
He wasn't walking. He was running on the field, and he got his cleat got caught in the field, and he slipped. And he was done. He was done with the Super Bowl. Who would have thought that would have ended his Super Bowl run? And by the way, could have played a big factor in the second half of the game.
By the way, he wasn't even he was able to play at the beginning of the year, but there was thinking that he wasn't because of that, just because of that kind of injury. And we've seen many of those probably since 2017, these non-contact injuries with how fast the game has gotten, how much offensively schematic motion there's involved in as well. You're going to have these kinds of things. So give what the players want. There's so many players, including Cooper Kupp, who got hurt recently, who started the trend 2 years ago of asking for turf, or asking for grass fields, not turf. And he was one of the main transcenders with the NFLPA doing that. And now you're still seeing an issue today where 2 weeks into the season, we have a lot of big guys down.
At high school level, you prefer to play on turf, but mostly because you're not going to get grass fields that are finely manicured like you would see in the NFL, because it slows you down. The grass is too hot. But I don't see this kind of injury rate at the high school level from non-contact injuries. You don't really see that. Maybe it's because you're older and more wear and tear on the ligaments and things like that, or maybe it's just because they're going so much harder with so much more force because of
the
these
speed of the
machines they are, and the speed of the game. And I would lean towards that. At the NFL level, the reason why they're not doing it. The reason is money, and money to be kept by the owners who have multi-billion-dollar organizations that for some reason can't spend a few million on making sure their players are healthy and safe.
They said it was going to cost them, I think, if I'm not mistaken, between $4 and $6 million. Is that going to break the bank for these owners? Honestly, $4 to $6 million to keep Micah Parsons healthy, Dak Prescott healthy, all your superstars that you're paying hundreds of millions of dollars to. And you still have to pay them if they go down. It makes no sense.
So you know what the answer is. In the next CBA, they're going to ask the players to chip in close to 50% of this kind of funding that would go to the turfs. It's not right. They should pay for it all themselves, in my opinion. They're the ones that are providing the venue, but that's how it's going to go. They're going to ask. And then that's the only way it gets fixed. Or everyone just keeps their money. We just keep letting people get hurt. We just keep seeing people blow Achilles, blow ACLs. No one's touching you. We're in the middle of the Super Bowl. An impact player can't play the rest of the game, and had a big impact of him not being there on the rest of the game, in my opinion. It's a problem.
Oh, it's a huge problem. I think the NFL needs to figure this out and a lot sooner than later, because you lose superstars like this. And they don't even know when Christian McCaffrey's coming back. They have no idea. They put him on the injured reserve. That means 4 weeks. He's already missed 2 weeks. You're talking about maybe week 7, week 8 until Christian McCaffrey. Anybody that drafted him, he was the number 1 pick in everybody's fantasy draft. You're screwed. Your season is
the
over.
worst year ever to have number 1 overall pick in the history of fantasy football if he misses half the season or more. Ever. That's never happened. Because he got hurt. They did, next day.
Now, Puka Nacua is a top 10 pick. I drafted him in one of my leagues, and I don't have him for at least 4 to 5 weeks. I mean, Cooper Kupp, who's my steal in the 3rd round, and I was so happy. At first week, he went down in the 2nd week. He could be out for 4 weeks. No Cooper Kupp. I mean, and it's killing me. It's just killing my fantasy league. So, I mean, I lost against Speedy. I put up 160 points, and I still lost because Speedy had one of those all-time weeks. Made me sick to my stomach.
I was the lowest scoring team the first week, and then the highest scoring. Or no, I think someone got 190, but I was the 2nd highest scoring team last.
And I was the 3rd,
Wow.
and I lost. Makes me sick. So It happens. That's fantasy football. I'm 0-2 in Mikey C's league, and I was rated, very, very high. I thought, but guess what? My guys are just not showing up. They're just not showing up week by week. I'm hoping that right now I'm expected to lose this week. Let's hope one of my guys actually show up and actually put up the numbers. We can only pray. But
you know who's surprisingly killing me in my league? It's Mahomes and Kelsey. I took the two of them expecting Mahomes and Kelsey. Kelsey has like 40 yards in 2 games.
I told you already not to.
But I mean, that's crazy. That's
you.
a crazy drop off. So I'm kind of hurting there.
I didn't expect Kelsey to. I think this is Kelsey's last year. I'm honest to God. I've been telling you, he signed a 2-year extension, but I don't think anybody's blinded to see what's going on. He's still with Taylor Swift, which means to me that he already said he doesn't want to get married until he's done with football. If he retires this year, I could see him marrying Taylor Swift and going off to the sunset. He just got $100 million. Him and his brother just got $100 million on their podcast. He doesn't need to make money playing football anymore or getting hurt or beating his body up. He only came back this year. It's because they're three-peating and they have a chance to three-peat, and he would be the first team to ever do that. He wanted to be a part of this. If they don't three-peat this year, I guarantee you he retires. There's no way he comes back. So I know everybody's sitting here. And by the way, they got so lucky this past week against the Bengals. They got so lucky. And you know what? NFL again, trying to make Kansas City look like they're the superstars that they are. That game was practically handed to them too, just like the first game. It's just, I feel bad for the Bengals. They did everything right, throughout the game, except maybe the fourth quarter not stopping.
That zone play calling.
Yeah, the zone play calling in the fourth quarter. I didn't understand that, but they outplayed the Kansas City Chiefs. As a matter of fact, Patrick Mahomes, and I've had him on my fantasy league for 2 weeks, hasn't really done anything. He really hasn't been great. But they're winning. But they're getting every call. Go look at it. Go look at the calls. Everything's going to them. I mean, there have been more penalties in both games to the opposing teams than it was to them, especially in big parts of the game. So
they had to call that PI at the end of the game, though, Errol and Speedy. They had to call that last one for them to win the game. You can't jump over the back before it gets there. It's just unfortunate. It shouldn't end that way, a game that good. But every Bengals Chiefs game seems to end in some kind of way like this. It's kind of amazing. Even if they're not, having great years, they always are like this together.
They meet in the playoffs. I think the Bengals beat them. I think the Bengals beat them. I'm just letting you know, if somehow the Bengals make the playoffs, which they will, I still think them and Baltimore are going to make the playoffs, because there's no way Pittsburgh's going to continue doing what they're doing. And Justin, I love watching Justin Fields, even though he's not putting up big numbers. I love Justin Fields. He deserves this. And I love them. Mike Tomlin going over there to Russell Wilson and saying, "You're not playing." I love that. And Russell Wilson's biting his tongue because it's pissing him off, and there's every kind of excuse. But if you don't think Russell Wilson wants to play and he's itching to play, he is. But if Justin Fields keeps winning, even if he loses this week, you can't take him off the field. You can't. The team is behind him. And I knew this was going to happen. That's why Russell Wilson should have made sure he didn't get hurt. But, hey, shit happens, as we all know.
Russell Wilson, future Miami Dolphin.
Mm-hmm. We will go quickly through the NFL season. Week 2. I just want to finish up with the Yankees. After the Yankees blew out the Mariners last night, Juan Soto expressed how cool it was that he has now homered at every MLB park. WFAN's Chris Mack said that those comments show he is only thinking about free agency. He added that the Yankees will have to pay Soto an enormous contract at this point, probably $600 million range. WFAN's Greg Giannotti said the comment shows cash is all the players think about. Boomer Esiason says he doesn't expect the Yankees to pay Soto a contract worth over $500 million. Soto has a .287 batting average, a .994 OPS, 121 walks, 40 home runs, and 103 RBIs this season. Juan Soto is not coming back to the New York Yankees. I've been saying this. I've been trying to explain that to all the Yankee fans. You don't want to agree with me. That's fine. There's no way the Yankees are paying him over $600 million. The Mets will. The Yankees will not. The only way Juan Soto stays with the Yankees is if he takes somewhere around the range of 500 to 550, takes a pay cut for at least $100 million. Will he? Probably not. I expect him to take a boatload of money, and it's probably going to be the New York Mets. And that's because there is an owner there that will be willing to overpay for a superstar player that good. We saw what he did with Lindor, and I expect him to do the same with Juan Soto. Now, I do think Juan Soto is, speaking, says these things because he wants to make the money and he wants to show that, he believes that he's the best player in baseball. He still believes, even with probably the best player in baseball right now on his team, he believes he's the best player on that team. Now, only time will tell. The playoffs are right around the corner. If Juan Soto shows up these playoffs and helps the Yankees win a World Series, or helps the Yankees go far into the playoffs, and Aaron Judge has another bad playoff run, because Aaron Judge, before this past week, he was in a slump. For 2 weeks, he couldn't hit a home run. He couldn't hit a lick. It was unbelievable how he just completely lost his range. And now all of a sudden, in the last couple of days, the last couple of games, he's starting to, smack the ball all over the field now. So hopefully Aaron Judge doesn't go into those stints where he can't hit the ball. But right now, Juan Soto believes he's the best player in baseball, and he very much could be. Now, he's got to prove it, in the big games, and he's got to prove it with the Yankees in the most important games, and that's in the playoffs. Now, as far as what Greg Giannotti says, saying that cash is all the players are thinking about, I disagree. They want to win. You don't think Juan Soto wants to win? He wants to win, because if he wins and he helps the Yankees win, guess what he's going to bring in? More money. More money. So winning brings in cash. Cash brings in riches. And obviously brings in endorsements. So why wouldn't Juan Soto want to win? To say that he only cares about the money is ridiculous, okay? Greg Giannotti's wrong about that. When you're playing for the New York Yankees, you're expected to make the playoffs. You're expected to make a run. That's why he's there. If the Yankees win a World Series this year and Juan Soto goes to the Mets, it was worth every penny. It was worth it. In the Yankees' eyes, Juan Soto coming to the Yankees for 1 year and winning a World Series, and he goes to the Mets, it was worth every single penny that they gave him in arbitrations and everything they gave up to get him from the Padres. So I know that a lot of people, and Boomer Esiason, saying that the Yankees won't pay him. We don't know what the Yankees are thinking in their head. We don't know. We don't know what Hal Steinbrenner is thinking. Now, if it was George, it'd be different. If it was George Steinbrenner, he'd say, how much do you want? I'll write you the damn check.
He'd be signed by now.
He'd be signed already. But it's
Blank
Hal
check.
Steinbrenner. It's Hal Steinbrenner. And Hal still has the highest pay total when it comes to teams right now. Highest salary right now in all of MLB. I think it's over $350 million. It's not like the Yankees are cheap. They're spending the most money. They're spending the most money. They're just spending it in different areas. Pitching and relief and all this other stuff. They can't just go out and just pay a guy $700 million because he's fantastic. I know the Yankees would like to do that. I know Hal Steinbrenner would like to do that, but he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to pay all these other teams $60 million next year because he's over the salary cap or whatever they call it, the luxury tax. So I think right now, I think Juan Soto thinks he's the best player in baseball. I think that he knows that he's going to free agency this year. He's having a great year. He's going to hit over 50 home runs by the end of the season. He's got 2 weeks, 2 weeks left. He'll close to 50 home runs, probably 45, 47. He's going to have close to 50 home runs, 120 RBIs. He's right. He's up right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if he smacks the ball out of here now, but the guy is a sensational player. He's just not going to be a Yankee. The Yankees have a farm system. They have a good young player. I forget his name, but you know his name. What's his name?
Jones.
Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones is a good left fielder, left-handed power bat. The Yankees have somebody to fill in. They're not going to overpay somebody that they can fill in and it is the future of this organization moving forward with him, Jason Dominguez. out there in the outfield with Aaron Judge. So I'm not surprised that this is going on, and I'm not going to be surprised that, at the end of the season, he goes elsewhere, probably to the Mets, and, falls off the bridge, because that's what most of these guys do. They go somewhere else and they never win, especially with the Mets.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think when you're dealing with a comment like what Greg Giannotti was saying, like the players only caring about the money.
That's not true.
I think Soto's also in a unique circumstance. I talked about it a couple months ago he's a lot like with Miguel Cabrera. Like Miguel Cabrera won a World Series his rookie year with the Marlins, so he went to go chase the money, but he also decided to get rid of that poverty organization in the Miami Marlins at the time that were just, after they won the World Series, just so dysfunctional.
Speedy, if he was chasing the money, why didn't he take the Nationals contract?
No, I know that. Now the Nationals contract was also like low in terms of average annual value at the time.
It doesn't matter. It was $400 million. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He doesn't have to worry about anything.
I understand.
But he bet on himself. He bet on his talent. So that says a lot about him as a player. It wasn't about money. It was about winning.
And also, I think you'll also look at the circumstances of the players wanting to stay with certain organizations, or the organizations are still going to be stable in their own right. And this is where I compare it to Albert Pujols' circumstance with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to do things their own way, a lot like the Yankees are going to do things their own way too. And I think that's where I think the WFAN guys and some Yankee fans are having it wrong. Where the Yankees are still going to operate under their own process in the way they're doing it. Now, I think a lot of the decisions of what they're going to do with Juan Soto is going to come down to a couple of things. One of which is Giancarlo Stanton's contract, which is going to be next to impossible to move. I think that's one. Garrett Cole, I think, is the big wild card in this because of his option now with all the injury issues he's had this year. If they could try to figure that out,
he's going to opt in.
I think he will too. If they could try to figure that out, how much money they'll have, the Yankees should be able to maybe make something work, whether either they front load the contract or, like Fish, we discussed when we were texting earlier, maybe try to defer money and try to make it like, not to the extreme like Ohtani's contract, but try to defer the money where they can make it work, where maybe he gets more money on the back end to keep him happy, but still get the $600 million.
It's not going to happen.
So that's my hope. Errol, if Hal Steinbrenner doesn't open up the bank for this guy, he should sell the team. This is the guy that they've been waiting for forever. The left-handed bat that has the swing that's even better at Yankee Stadium. He's never hit 40 home runs before, as far as I understand.
35
and he's 35 was his highest. He's going to get 45 or so. This guy is unbelievable. He's top 5 player in the league as far as a hitter. His defense is, it's average to above average this year. And and he's 27. Well, what are you doing? Who cares about Spencer Jones? Spencer Jones only 26. He'll be 27 next season.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking up Stanton's contract, Speedy. It goes down. He has one more year over 30 million, and then it goes under 20 the last 3 years of the deal. So it's actually movable after next year. So it's not exactly as cost prohibitive as they'd make you think. I think the bigger thing is never in the history of baseball has anyone chosen the Mets brand over the Yankees brand. We're not talking about Luis Severino being forced out and having to become a Mets pitcher.
Oh, he's not choosing.
We're talking about actively choosing to leave the Yankees. He's not going to choose the money to go to the Mets. He'll go somewhere else. It ain't going to be for the Mets. I'll tell you that straight up right now. I don't care if they make the playoffs.
When you see $700 million go right into your bank account, and by the way, he doesn't want any deferred money. He wants it all up front.
Well, Boris doesn't want any deferred money,
and
we know that is the thing with the deferred money for him.
And who do you think was willing to give him that kind of money? The New York Mets.
Look, Spencer Jones. Since I traded for him in my dynasty league, I've realized there's plenty of warts on him as a baseball player.
Oh, stop.
He does have power, but do you know what his strikeout rate was this year?
Okay. Did you know what Aaron Judge strikeout rate when he was coming from?
No one is this high. It's 36.8. And 36.8 has never succeeded in Major League Baseball. That's Adam Dunn territory, and his was like 33. So look, if that's the guy that he is, maybe he's useful, but I wouldn't be like, oh, we can't get Soto because the next Adam Dunn's waiting in the wings. That wouldn't make any sense to me. Adam Dunn was a very useful player, three true outcome player, kind of right. But and pretty good outfielder for a long time. People forget that. But it's not like you wouldn't pay Soto for that. And look, if Stanton's money is going to decrease, and then maybe they move him, eat some of the salary the last couple of years or whatever it is, they can get out of that. They can find ways to get this guy under contract and still be a similar number in the luxury tax. If Hal's not going to spend the money, you shouldn't be the New York Yankees owner anymore. It's just how it is. And every Yankee fan who gives a damn about this team, how can look at what Judge, we just talked about it, right? Judge is not great in the playoffs. Why isn't he great in the playoffs? He's not a expand the zone type of guy like Vlad Guerrero, but the senior back in the day could hit a ball. Ichiro could hit a ball bouncing for a home run, right? Both of those guys famously did that. Judge is so tall, he can't expand the zone. And what happens in the playoffs when he has no protection? They expand the zone. Guess what what we're dealing with right now? If Stanton's is healthy enough to hit behind him and you have Soto in front, it's lethal. And hopefully the combination of the two of them together leads to that kind of success where we can take it to the pennant. That's the hope. You got to keep that guy. That's the guy. And he's Dominican, the population of Yankee fans in the Bronx. I mean, it's like everything in one.
How could you not be excited?
If you're a Yankee
this
fan.
guy, Spencer Jones. I mean, 17 home runs, 78 RBIs.
Oh no, I'm not against it.
I mean, come on. I mean, this guy's 23 years old. He's in AAA and he's doing it. And this guy, I'm telling you, every single person that we've had on the show that knows a little bit about minor league baseball has said Spencer Jones is the real deal. So I mean,
He's
I don't
a
care.
fringe top 100 prospect according to all the lists.
So was
He's
Aaron
not the
Judge. So was he.
I know.
Aaron
Trust me, I
Judge
know.
was
Look, and if
drafted
he's
in
Aaron
the
Judge, that's amazing because Aaron Judge is the best player in
I
baseball.
don't think he's Aaron Judge, but I think he's going to give you 30 to 40 home runs. He's going to give you about 100 RBIs, and that's what you expect from a guy with this kind of power. Who cares? I mean, 259, a batting average with the power that he has, that's pretty good. That's pretty good in my eyes. I'm sorry, but hey, whatever.
But if you're a 37% strikeout guy, how good are you going to be in the postseason?
All right, we'll see.
You know what I mean?
We'll see. That's all I'm going to say. Let's now. Okay, we got to get through this. So let's go through these games. Let's spit it out, Speedy. None of this long crap that you have. Let's go through these games, week 2, and get it over with. Are you ready? All right. We're not going to talk about Buffalo and the Dolphins because we already pretty much spoke about what Josh Allen was. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do the Raiders and Ravens. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Raiders offense looked very good in the second half of that game. The Ravens secondary still struggling against slot concept, which they did last year.
Spit it out.
And the Ravens fourth quarter defense, like they did a couple times in 2022, continues to hurt them again.
I will say this. Lamar Jackson didn't have a bad game. He did throw that big, important interception. They need to get Derrick Henry more involved. There's no question that they did. And I'm going to say this. The Raiders, in the second half of the game, especially the fourth quarter, they showed up. And by the way, they couldn't run the ball. But guess who showed up better than Lamar Jackson? Gardner Minshew. He was the one that showed up in the game, and the defense was unbelievable in the second half. And by the way, Devontae Adams had a game.
Yeah, don't sleep on Brock Bowers either, guys. Brock Bowers is really showing out over there, catching almost every target thrown his way. His catch rate is absurd right now. It's like the ball, and he bounces off guys. It's almost exactly what it looked like in college. This is the guy is going to be the sleeper pick of the entire first round, it looks like.
All right, let's go away from the Chargers. Even though the Chargers are 2-0, which is pretty amazing that they're 2-0. They beat the Panthers. There was really nothing to say about that. We all know Bryce Young is gone. Yeah. He's probably not starting another game this year, and he's probably never going to be starting another game for the Panthers for the rest of his career because I think he'll be traded. Saints and the Cowboys.
The Saints offense? What is into them? Like all of a sudden they had no offensive line last year. They had no receivers outside of Olave and Rashid Shaheed, like you've been talking about many times. This immersion of that guy to be that type of thing. And their defense has held their own. We knew they had talent, but they were poorly coached for a while. Dennis Allen, who we thought might be the first coach fired, he looked good right now.
He's looking good. They're playing good, and they've been unstoppable. Alvin Kamara's unbelievable. Derek Carr's finally figured things out. Say whatever you want. 11 for 16, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw the interception, but it really didn't hurt him. And they're running the ball. They can run the ball. They can catch ball. And my guy, Mr. Shaheed, is the number 1 target right now in 2 weeks for the Saints. So whoever drafted him in fantasy, he did a smart thing. I did do a smart thing.
Don't sleep on Olave. His underlying stats are really good. But I had Kamara in fantasy this week. And man, was that a lot of fun. That guy had his highest point output since his heyday in 2019 with over 40. Pretty impressive. 3 touchdowns, receiving and running the ball. Looks like he's got all the juice back, guys. That's a dangerous combination if they can throw the ball deep.
And by the way, Dak Prescott actually, I know he had 2 interceptions. he was actually efficient in that game. Just so for all you Cowboy fans that say you can't stand him, 27 for 39, he was efficient. They can't run the ball. Who's running the ball right now? Ezekiel Elliott? Dak Prescott had, 4 more yards less than Ezekiel Elliott. They have no running game. That is the problem right now with the Cowboys. They can't find a running game. They're in big, big trouble. So for all you Cowboy fans that, see the Cowboys and Dak Prescott are a joke, boy, oh boy, you guys are out of your damn mind. I don't understand why everybody hates this guy, but he's hated. I don't understand it. I'm trying to wait until this thing pops up for the games. This thing is so – the NFL Network, their games when you go into the things are just absolutely slow. The Buccaneers and the Lions.
Very impressive defensive showcase by the Buccaneers without Antoine Winfield, who was their best player last year. Still having an issue trying to get their pass rush going, but they held the Lions to just 16 points and really did not let them move the ball through the air very, very well at all. And Chris Godwin, let's give him some credit. He's the fantasy wide receiver 1 right now. He's having a phenomenal year.
Phenomenal year, and Mike Evans will figure things out. I expect Mike Evans to figure it out. He hasn't had that breakout game, but expect him to do that. And Baker Mayfield, It wasn't with his arm, it was with his legs in this game. 5 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown, 12 for 19, 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It wasn't something that stood out, but Baker's got this team. They believe in him, and he's been unbelievable. The Lions, I don't know what's going on with him. Jared Goff has actually had a pretty good season, 34 for 55, 370 yards. He did throw 2 interceptions, but both interceptions were not his fault. That was just the wide receivers just not running the right routes, and that was the problem. But they're running the ball pretty well. This was a game Amon-Ra St. Brown actually showed up to play, but he hasn't really gotten open. They can't get him in the end zone. That's the big problem right now, and that's why they're losing these games. He can't get into the end zone. So that's what I see with the Lions. They got to get St. Brown involved and get him some touchdowns.
Even in a loss, shout out to head coach Dan Campbell for running a fake punt in the first half inside his own 20 and completing it over the middle on a 30-yard pass. I mean, that guy, if he's not anything, he's consistent. That's just some wild stuff, man. He's out of his mind, but it worked because it's so out of his mind. Look, the offense didn't look great as far as making conversions. They still look like they're same guys. They're just not really clicking yet. It's still early in the season, but they definitely need to play better than that if they're going to be winning games in a tough division.
Speedy, Packers and Colts. Oh, my God. What is going on with Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Richardson is still struggling with his efficiency passing. I think that has to get better for the Colts to be able to get better because their defense has not played well either. Fish, I know you like them a lot coming into the year, but their defense is not giving you a lot to the desires. For the Packers, give them credit. They actually held their own against the pass, and their run defense still isn't great, but holding Jonathan Taylor under 100 yards, that'll win you.
Josh Jacobs was the reason why they won this game. I mean, controlling the line of scrimmage, 32 carries, 151 yards, no touchdowns, but averaging 4.72 an average minimum, league minimum as good as 3.6. He's over that. I mean, he was unbelievable, dominated the line of scrimmage, and they didn't need a lot of Malik Willis. They didn't need him. They just needed a big, large sum of Josh Jacobs, and I don't know what's going on with the Colts. I don't know. Anthony Richardson has not looked good. 3 interceptions in this game, 17 for 34, 204 yards, 1 touchdown. Jonathan Taylor had a good game, 12 carries, 103 yards. Why weren't you running the ball more with him? It made no sense. They keep forcing the ball down the field with Anthony Richardson, and this was his problem in college. I think that was the reason why they lost the game.
Yeah, that's the big thing. He doesn't look like a winning player right now. I mean, he wasn't a winning player in college, and he's just a super athlete that needs to learn how to play the game the right way. He might get better as the year goes on. He's got all the arm talent in the world. Made a crazy throw 2 weeks ago. He's got that talent, but he doesn't protect the ball. He throws bad picks. He's such an athlete that you think that he can come up with it. Alec Pierce has looked good as a receiver in the first couple of weeks. But that defense, you're right, Speedy. I couldn't believe it. They were so bad on run defense that Malik Willis, I don't even think attempted a pass more than a couple of yards until later in the game. It wasn't even necessary. They just ran it down their throats. I've never seen something like that in the NFL early in the season before guys are banged up, where they're like, oh, yeah, we'll just hand it off every play. It was like Penn State with Drew Allard. last year. It was just like, no, we're just, or like, remember that JJ McCarthy game where he didn't throw the ball at all? Yeah. It was like that with Malik Willis because he was brand new to the team, and let's face it, he's Malik Willis. It didn't even matter. They just ran it down their throats. It was an embarrassment for that Indy D line.
Browns, Jaguars.
Ugly game. The Browns, they love that kind of thing. It works for them. And like we were talking about with Jeremy Mincey, Trevor Lawrence has to figure something out because they don't have much going for them right now on any level of their offense.
I want to see more Travis Etienne. I don't know what's going on. Why aren't they running the ball more? It makes no sense, especially. And what is this Brian Thomas Jr. thing? You have Christian Kirk. He was a -1. A -1. He's your number one guy, and he's a -1. That's a big problem. You need to get him more involved in the game if you expect to win the game. It's been a big problem, and I think that's the reason why they're losing. I'm not saying that because I drafted him. It just doesn't make sense how you have a guy that with a weapon like that and you haven't used him. So, and as far as Deshaun Watson, he didn't have a good game. 22 for 34, 186 yards. There's nothing to brag about. What I could say is they did what they needed to do defensively, and that's why they were the best defense in the league last year. That's enough said on that.
Thomas looks good. I'm not going to lie. I have him on fantasies. The other LSU receiver with Neighbors that came out in the first round. He was the 4th receiver taken. He's got all the speed in the world, and they're hitting him on deep shots. But that's not the guy that's supposed to get the majority of the targets. He's not getting a majority of the targets. The real question is, why don't they trust Trevor Etienne? Now, he had that horrible fumble week 1 that really kind of cost them the game. And I think he's in quite the doghouse right now. Doug Peterson's got to realize they got to try to win the game before holding grudges on guys. They got to go for it. It's just not working in Jacksonville at all right now.
All right,
fellas.
we got a couple more games. We got to get through this right here. The San Francisco 49ers Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings, like you said before, Sam Darnold's actually showing a real offense for once. Aaron Jones was okay, not great, but Darnold did a nice job spreading the ball around. And give Vikings defense, give Brian Flores a lot of credit. They've been very creative through 2 games.
I think the answer is pretty much Sam Darnold, and that's it. Sam Darnold, who the 49ers had a chance to keep last year. They decided to move away from him. 17 for 26, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he actually ran. He had 5 carries for 32 yards, who we know Sam Darnold can run. And Justin Jefferson, 4 receptions, 133 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, not enough said. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Christian McCaffrey is not back soon, they're in a line. I understand Jordan Mason had 20 carries for 100 yards. He is not Christian McCaffrey. It has been a big problem. The 49ers are a shell of what they were last year when Christian McCaffrey was healthy.
And Debo's down now for 3+ weeks, or around 3 weeks, they think, as well, with a calf injury. And we saw what happened to that offense when Debo went down last year. Now McCaffrey's down as well. This is really going to test the limits of the Shanahan offense. And really, they got to have the big money man that they just paid, Brandon Ayuk, step up big, or else what was that money for, folks?
Well, we all know what it's for. It's just not for him, that's for sure. Or maybe it's for somebody else. But that team, they spent a lot of money this offseason. They did right with Trent Williams. Brandon Ayuk is the first 2 weeks has not been good. That's all I'm going to say. Seattle Patriots 2-0. Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle 2-0, but still looking very average. They beat 2 bad teams so far, the Broncos and the Patriots. I'm not going to overreact to them, but DK Metcalf did well after having a bad first week. It's still like the old school Seahawks. One guy does well and then disappears.
Yeah, the Patriots obviously had a chance to win the game. They were up really throughout the game until the 4th quarter, and then obviously gave the lead away. I'm not going to, brag about what the Seattle Seahawks did in the game. Geno Smith made throws when he needed to make throws, and Seattle won. I will say this, the Patriots defense is for real. This is one of the best defense right now in the NFL. There's no question. And the Jets are going to have a really tough game in MetLife Stadium. If they think they're just going to go into MetLife and just put up a 30-point game against this defense, they're sadly mistaken. And Jacoby Brissett, say whatever you want, Jacoby Brissett has been efficient. So watch out. I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots beat the Jets in MetLife tomorrow. So.
Well, they just got to keep everything in front of them because Jacoby Brissett doesn't really throw it downfield all that much. But no one really saw this coming. I mean, we really thought this was going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Mayo was a great middle linebacker, understood defense. And look, let's face it, they needed a breath of fresh air from Belichick, and his ways obviously was disconnected with the players. It wasn't working. This could be like a breath of fresh air. It's really surprising. Now, if they can get any offense going at all against a good Jets pass defense, we'll see. But I think it's big. It's going to be a big Ramondre Stevenson, who's been very, very effective in the early going. But there is one other thing, Errol, before we finish the segment. I've just found out there may be some new play callers because the head coach has been attacked by angry birds with green flames.
Oh God! Can you imagine?
And there's
me,
no
the play
more.
caller? That's pretty funny, Big Jack. That's a good picture. That's pretty funny. Oh man.
It looks like night
Tiers
vision
of
goggles.
Jets logos. Yeah, night vision goggles. Look, it's really important. We're going to need to have some kind of better vision if the Jets are going to be able to win this game, because the play calling right now has just been mediocre at best, an atrocity.
An atrocity. That's your word. Atrocity. That's Fish's word. All right, the Rams and the Cardinals.
We know how good the Cardinals' offense is, but let's give credit to their defense. I know the Rams had no Puka Nacua, but still, the Cardinals' defense on paper was not supposed to be one of the better ones. They were rushing the Rams very well. Give them some credit as well. And the offense we knew was going to be good for a while. Kyler Murray and Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison.
Hello to Marvin Harrison Jr. as he shows up for game number 2 and puts up 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. 4 receptions and 8 targets. He was unbelievable. Trey McBride had a pretty good game, 6 receptions for 67 yards. And James Conner's been one of the better running backs in the first 2 weeks. It's been incredible. And Kyler Murray shows up. The Rams, they lose Cooper Kupp and they lose Nacua. They're in big trouble. That's all I'm going to say. They're in a lot of trouble. I don't know how they get through this, but if they can, it would be pretty amazing.
They're in more trouble than that, Errol. They lost their left tackle, left guard, and center to the IR on top of their top 2 receivers. I don't know how you come back from that, but the bigger story is the Cardinals and Coach Jonathan Gannon, who, if you remember, was the Eagles' defensive coordinator when they went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Really an outstanding job. He came off weird in the Hard Knocks they did. He was kind of had like this like monotone attitude. You just didn't really get a good feel for him in the few clips we saw. But let's face it, this guy can coach defense. They don't have a lot of talent there. They're playing really well. And now you gave Kyler Murray, who's now healthy, an elite wide receiver who looks like he's already going to be one of the top 10 in the league after one, like pretty quickly. Him and Neighbors. What a nice 2 guys coming in.
Odunze will be there too. Don't you worry. I still expect Odunze.
He's a little banged up, Odunze, but he's had a slow start, mostly because Caleb's slow start.
Yeah. All right, Speedy. Steelers, Broncos, quick.
Old school football for the Steelers, running and defense. Like you mentioned, that defense might be the best in football last week.
I got him. On both my fantasy teams. Woo. Yes. Yeah. I think this is the best defense in football. The Broncos are horrible, as we can see. Peyton might be looking for a job at the end of the season because this could be another bad year, and there's no excuses to this team. You paid Sean Payton a lot of money to come over here, and he's laid up a lousy goose egg. Not with one, you get your quarterback that you want. He's not playing well. You send Russell Wilson somewhere else. You're still paying him, and by the way, he's benched and playing. Dustin Fields playing in front of him. So I don't know. Broncos are horrible. Well, that's all I'm going to say. I would love to get Sanderson on the show to hear what he has to say about it. But that's it.
If Fields goes 3-0, what's to stop them from trading Russell Wilson to Miami, who needs a quarterback?
Let him.
Seriously, why wouldn't that make sense for every? Get that guy out of the building and give Fields the keys for real. He needs to be given this. There's no reason to bounce it back and forth. Tomlin's not stupid. I'm pretty sure as long as Fields doesn't have a complete meltdown, he's the guy. And Wilson's going to be gone, whether it's to Miami or, there's another injury somewhere or somebody gives up on number 8 somewhere in New York or somewhere else. They may end up, finding another suitor for him.
I think the Steelers, they don't need to put up big points with this defense. I mean, this is the best defense in football. They had a queen in the offseason. I mean, come on, man. This is ridiculous. They're a ridiculous defense. You can see it. And they can run the ball, too, and control the clock. They got more than enough firepower. And by the way, Justin Fields is probably the best running back on that team. So just saying.
TJ Watt has been incredible the first couple of weeks of the season, too.
He's the best.
Better than he's ever been, really. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's the best defensive player in the league. It's not even an argument. Anybody, I mean, look where the Steelers got him, too. What a steal in the 20s. I don't think we have to say much about the Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. We already went through that. Bears and Texans.
Bears offense still a mess. Caleb Williams, like you were saying, Fish, not really getting it going. Their running game still not getting it going either. The defense held their own against a good Texans offense, but their offense needs to find something.
They're lucky they're 1-1. Okay, honestly,
that's a great way to put it.
The Texans have C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's having a pretty good year still. I mean, I can't say sophomore year. I think we know he's the real deal. So I think everybody in the league knows he's the real deal. And Bryce Young now knows he's the real deal. I mean, I'm sure Carolina's probably smacking themselves on not drafting C.J. Stroud. Big mistake. And it looks like this kid's going to be as good as any quarterback we've seen come out of a draft in a very, very long time. There's really nothing to say bad about the Texans right now.
Too early to say anything about Caleb. He's going to have to develop, but
I like
CJ. Yeah, he looks like he's going to be good. It's just not there yet. Timing's not there. It could just be not a great offense in a coaching situation going on in Chicago, which we believe is the case. But I'll tell you what, Houston looks like they're for real again. They may be better than they've been. Nico Collins, it was never going to be Diggs number one. Nico Collins is the real deal. This guy is a physical, great hands, good speed. He can do it all. And now you have Diggs complimenting him. Tank Dell hasn't even really gotten going yet. Schultz hasn't really gotten going yet. They got weapons everywhere. And that defense, it's really humming, man. That team could be really, really good. Really good.
Speedy, hum. Mm-hmm. What the hell is that? What the hell are you doing with that?
I was trying to do a hum and yodel hybrid. It didn't really work out.
Didn't work for me. Didn't work for me. It's not a set. You have not sold that to me. I'm just letting you know.
I wasn't trying to.
All right, I'm just telling you. You didn't sell me. Anyways, the Falcons, Eagles. I mean, we spoke about this. It's pretty simple. I mean,
yeah, well, we all blame Saquon except for me. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't blame Saquon. I don't think it's Saquon. I think it's the Eagles' defense. They're horrible. That's that in a nutshell. They could have the best offense, and they don't even have the best offense. Their defense, which they spent a lot of money on, they can't get at the quarterback. You have all these big guys, all these Georgia Bulldogs, and they can't do crap. That's pretty it.
Oh, don't worry.
Pretty much it.
We were Fish and I were talking about another big guy they have. Well, Bryce Huff, the ex-Jet, might not be working out for them. Give him some credit to rebirthing Mekhi Becton.
Oh, God, please.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton is playing guard for them and playing really well because, of course, he is. Of course, the Eagles figured that guy out. Just put a 6'8" guy inside and just let him maul people.
Think of that, idiots.
And I bet their tush push is even better now that he's there, too. Just imagine. They just have the best offensive line coach, the best offensive line going. They always reload, even without Kelsey. They're still mauling people. It's not fair. But guess what? They lost because their defense got shut down by that run game.
The Giants still have a chance, man, because they're the two teams that everybody thinks is going to just completely pull away from everybody. They're 1-1. And the Giants are 0-2.
Yeah, Washington's technically leading the division.
If the Giants win this coming week, I mean, they could practically, if those other teams lose again, they could be in first place.
Look, if the Cowboys and Eagles don't fix those defenses, this could be one of those years where like the 9-8 or 8-9 team wins the division and everyone's under 500.
I want you to know something. I want all, and especially the beef that wants to blame Dak Prescott for that loss. Their defense is not good. Okay, it's not good. So keep blaming Dak Prescott on the losses. It had nothing to do with Dak. Yes, he threw 2 interceptions. Yes, in the fourth quarter, he made some mistakes. He was forcing the ball because nobody was getting open. You have one weapon and only one weapon, and you can't run the goddamn ball. That's all I'm going to say. So, and by the way, they can't stop a nosebleed. Okay, that Micah Parsons, he had a great first week. He looked horrible this past week.
Oh, look at this. We have a surprise call from Jeff.
Here we go.
Yeah, Jeff.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you actually kidding me? What a great game by the Saints. Just surgical. Absolutely surgical. Rashid Shaheed may have just scored again.
Did you have any bets on him?
No, I wish I did. I definitely wish I did. Unreal. Dude, can I tell you, I had the worst beat of all time.
Oh, boy.
Worst beat of all time. So I think I just put $5 on it or whatever I put. But I did a same game parlay. It was Marvin Harrison, 100 yards, Marvin Harrison touchdown, and Marvin Harrison over 4.5 catches. That was the parlay. It was like $5.
Oh,
for
and he
like
only got
7.
4 catches. Yeah.
Dude, he had 4 catches in the first quarter. They didn't throw it
Yeah.
to him the rest of the game.
Well,
Unreal. I tried to tell you about that Brock Bowers too.
Yeah.
I tried to tell you boys about Brock Bowers, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Brock
You
Bowers?
said they don't need him. It's worthless. They don't need him. And it turns out he's had the best start to a tight end career that anyone has ever had in the history of football.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks good.
Weapon. The Jets should have taken him. Dude, our Jets. Can we just talk about this for a minute? Can you imagine if our Jets had a weapon like that? Where has Mike Williams been? What is going on with Mike Williams?
I don't know. I said the same thing. I don't know what Bambi Sala is doing over there on the sidelines. You know, so
I tried to tell you about that Braylon Allen too, didn't I?
Yeah, I love Braylon Allen. The Jets got to use him more.
When you called me and you said, "Who is this guy?" I was like, "Dude, he's a beast."
Jeff, call tomorrow. We'd love to get you on and talk. About week 3. All right.
I'll probably be in doing some betting, but I just wanted to call and shit on the beat because the Cowboys suck just like their fans. Absolute dog shit.
Jeff, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff, ladies and gentlemen, as always a good ending to a show. Oh man, let's go. I was going to do Speedy After Dark. I'm tired, man. Let's get it in tomorrow.
We had enough fun reminiscing about you putting that on your balls with Jeremy Mincey.
Yeah, that was enough.
That was good enough.
That was enough for me. I mean, he loved that. He was actually on when I was doing it.
I know. He actually embraced it more than I would have thought.
No, you never did it.
No, I'm not saying he did.
No, I'm talking about you. I mean, I don't know.
Nobody did it besides you.
I don't know if we can get it on your skin. You got so much hair over there.
I'm gonna try.
I wonder if the shaft is clean. You've never looked at your shaft? Is it clean?
I don't know.
You don't know if the shaft's clean?
I don't.
All right. You want me to look?
No.
All right. Do you want somebody to look?
No.
How about the Beeve? Beeve will look.
No.
He's like a dam, Yeah,
I'm sure he is.
Likes to cut through, dams and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Oh,
I see
damn.
what you did there. Nice. But he's not going there.
Oh man, what a show. Anyways, we'll be back tomorrow. Yes, at the normal time, 7:30, right? 7:30 tomorrow. 7:30 tomorrow with me, Speedy Petey, and Mr. Fish. We'll have Scoops here. He's doing a radio show over there in Hofstra. I mean, oh well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be doing that. Anyways, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you to Jeremy Mincey, by the way. He was fantastic as always. We'll have Let's Parlay tomorrow. We'll have Wes and all those guys, and Jeff. What is he saying over here? Only right. Here comes P. Diddy Sports Radio. Jeff, we're not doing anything. Relax. Anyways, that's it for our show. Thank you for Jeff's call. Thank you for Keith calling us, and thank you to all the fans out there for keeping in tune with our show. I'm happy to be back, and we'll be ready for another one tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.